Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hivemind Recap Podcast, the May 2021 recap. My name is Jake. I'm here with my pals, as per usual, Justin, Derek, and Jacob. How are y'all doing tonight? I did it. I remembered.
For the first time.
For the first time ever. I have remembered to introduce...
Just typing it.
I have remembered to introduce my co-hosts for the actual first time ever. Not like... I mean, I made an attempt at it in our After Hours episode, which we did with Nevertel a few weeks ago. So if you're listening to this and you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go check that out. We got to sit down with the two vocalists of Nevertel, talk about their latest album, which we'll be talking about much later in the show tonight. But yeah, Hivemind Recap Podcast, May 2021. How y'all feeling tonight?
Feel pretty good. You know, looking at the playlist we have, it's much more relaxed than last month.
Oh yeah.
Thank God.
Oh yeah.
Thank God.
We
So-
needed it.
The goal is to not go over 3. I think the goal should really to try and not go over 2.5 hours, honestly. Whether that happens or not. I
We're
don't
not
know.
gonna hit that.
But regardless,
know us. We're gonna blabber for about an hour and a half.
But regardless, we have significantly less material to talk about than the past 2 months, and it feels so refreshing. Oh,
Yeah.
moving on. If you want to follow us on social media, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HiveMindRadio_, where you'll get updates about this podcast and my radio show, which is on hiatus for a few months, so you won't get that for a while. But anyway, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about before we get into the new music tonight.
No, a very boring month overall. I feel like even like personally for me, it was just kind of like
Yeah, I think
music.
in saying that, there definitely were a lot of good songs released, but I definitely think it is the weakest month of the year right now. I
Yeah,
won't be
sure.
surprised if
I
Justin
agree.
disagrees based on the list of albums and EPs we have at the end of this episode.
Based on the singles, going on the singles alone, this is the weakest month.
But... Okay, fair.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. So, I guess let's get right into it then.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
for it.
absolutely.
Concrete Castles have dropped their second single, Half Awake. This
Better
band-
or worse than the first single? What do you think?
I first off want to say this band is awesome. I think this is
Yep.
this is hard because they're both very unique. Just a Friend definitely leaned much more into pop rock, whereas I feel this one lends itself more to just straight up rock almost. But
Yeah.
it's almost like comparing apples to oranges. But I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would be this one. I said the first single was more pop rock. That one definitely is more catchy in my opinion, but I definitely think I've gone back to this song more and enjoyed this song more overall.
I am going to say that I like Just a Friend maybe a little bit better, but with that said, I think that this is definitely one of my favorite songs of the month. They've leaned more into I'm assuming it's electronics. If it's some sort of instrument that makes that noise after the chorus, no, I got no clue. But in terms of just overall electronic vibe and influence, this one definitely leaning more into that, and I dig it. I dig it a lot.
Yeah, I really like the way that this song builds up into the chorus.
Mhm.
I think it's a little bit slow where you basically say the entire chorus in the build up. The pre-chorus is the chorus, and then the chorus is just the pre-chorus again. Just with heavier hitting instrumentals. I do remember them saying that this is their heavier side, and if this is their heavier side of what this album is going to shape up to be, I'm not complaining in all honesty.
No, me neither.
This is just solid. It's heavier. It's also still just very accessible, and if that's what they're going for, then they nailed it.
One of these is gonna have to break eventually, like into the mainstream. I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like.
definitely.
There's too much, and again, we've seen it in plenty of bands. I guess particularly Femme on Fire and Our Last Night, where they cover a bunch of pop music and it bleeds into their own personal projects. Or their own music, I should say, and that's the same thing here. There's so much talent and pop sensibility that they gain from doing all those covers that one of these has to pop onto some into mainstream radio eventually. I didn't even mean to do that. Don't discuss it. But yeah, no, I'm very, very happy with this, with Just a Friend, and very excited to see what the rest of this album sounds like. Do we have a date on it?
There is no album date as far as I'm aware. They did just announce another single, which we'll be talking about next month in our June recap. But yeah, Half Awake Solid. I think the last point I want to make here is that I was listening to the song earlier today, and I noticed for the first time there's an extra layer of backing vocals in the final chorus, which it's kind of faint, but it was a neat touch that I wanted to point out. That definitely
production value.
Yep.
On
very, very good production, just all around. Let's move on then. Breathe Atlantis are back. They have a brand new song called Overdrive.
What did this come from?
A Rising Empire.
Germany.
Well, thank you. But I mean, like, the sound of it. Like, it definitely sounds like they're much older stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is like Future Stories and, oh god, I don't remember the name of the first album, but it's like that. Okay. Yeah, that's that era of Breathe Atlantis, which I didn't like.
It is very clearly not Soulmate era Breathe Atlantis.
No, God, no. Which does not resemble Soulmate at all.
This song, I had put off listening to Soulmate for about a year and a half. And the day I finally listened to that album, they announced this new single, which I think was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had expected like Soulmate, something Soulmate-esque, given that was their last. No, just complete 180. And like, I definitely think I prefer the Soulmate sound. I have been looking for a sound that like, kind of like Normandy, where they have that heavier post-hardcore instrumental sound, but with primarily clean vocals, and that's what Soulmate was. Whereas this leans just much more into kind of generic metalcore in a way. And I don't think it's bad, but it's... I've known this band for about a month now, and it's not what I want out of them. I don't know if that's fair for me to say.
No, that's fair.
No, that is fair. I will say that the chorus in this is actually pretty good, and the breakdown as well.
Yeah, the breakdown is definitely the best part of the song. Interesting you mentioned you enjoyed the chorus, because I thought that was the most underwhelming part of the entire song. It did not really hit for me all that well. The breakdown, though, that shit hit.
Yeah, the breakdown is probably the easiest one to get into. I don't know. I like the chorus, but I also probably gave it more time than a lot of you guys did.
Yeah, so, I try to go back to it, but
I too was like, I prefer the Soulmate sound, but
okay.
I listened to it today, and I didn't realize it was Breathe Atlantis, so I encourage you to listen to it as if it's not Breathe Atlantis, and you will like it more, because I actually love this song now that I've done that.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I did about the exact same thing not like 2 hours ago, where, I mean, I knew it was them, but like I hadn't revisited it in a while, and I gave it another chance, and I'm like, this isn't what I want, but it's better than I remember. You know, like I guess I was just a little disappointed, because Soulmate for me was my number 3 album of 2019, and I love that album, and I'm not so high on their older stuff. But I think that in that same vein, this has like better production value than the same like kind of vibe that their older stuff had. And that was my main gripe with it back then. So I don't know. I wouldn't complain if the rest of the singles were more like stuff off Soulmate, and I would prefer it, but having given time and a couple more listens to this, I do enjoy it, and I'm still going to support and listen to Breathe Atlantis, right? Like no matter what direction this album takes. But it's just not quite the sound I was anticipating when I found out they were coming back.
I think it's similar to the first Attack single.
Yeah,
where it's like if it wasn't under the name Attack.
Yep.
I would like it more.
Yep, pretty much, yeah.
So I think basically all I want to say is our criticism of this song comes from the fact that we all really enjoyed Soulmate, and not that this is a bad song in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have anything really to fault this song on other than my own personal preference. Like,
I think that just about does it.
Yeah, speaking of another band that is back, Caskets have dropped their new single, Lost in Echoes.
I'm so full of rage, too blind to see. The more I fool myself.
It's kind of crazy to think that it was 6 months between Glass Heart and this song.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Glass Heart was December.
This also comes with an album release date. Their album release is in August 13th for their titled album Lost Souls.
Hella excited for that one. I'm gonna go out and say it that I think if any band is going to top Normandy for my album of the year spot right now, I place my number one bet on Caskets.
This song, similar to way back early in the year with Traceless's "What Will It Take," this changes the formula a lot of songs. There isn't like the 3 choruses. It kind of just feels like 2, but after the chorus, it just kind of bleeds into a longer verse. And I like pretty much the latter half of the song a lot. Like let me pull up some lyrics. Continue with your thoughts, and I'll pull up some lyrics on what exactly I like most.
I think I want to echo what you're saying about that second verse. The second verse where they kind of, I don't even, it's like somewhat of a bridge almost, more than just another verse, because they change up the instrumentation so much. But I love that part of the song. And then the actual bridge is just as good. I do think this is weaker than Glass Heart, weaker than Falling Apart, which have been their last 2 singles. But by no means is this a bad song in any way. As I said, like, if there's any band that's gonna like top Normandy is my album of the year contender, which is going to be a very difficult feat to do, I would place a bet on Caskets to at least make a run for it. And I think this song, if this song fits into the album in the right way, I definitely think it'll grow on me.
Here's the thing. I'm going to compare it to Slaves last year when they did Heavier and Prayers. Heavier was better instrumentally, but Prayers was better lyrically. That's how I'm feeling about Glass Heart and Lost in Echoes. Lost in Echoes lyrically, shines above Glass Heart in my opinion. But instrumentally, Glass Heart is easier to put on repeat and just kind of listen to.
Yeah, Glass Heart just has like one of the biggest choruses I've heard in months.
Yeah,
and that's kind of hard to beat.
Some of the lyrics I want to echo is the "Take me, break me, hide me away, or you can shame me, blame me, burn me at the stake on a lie, because my own mind wilts at the thought."
I don't think I have too much more to say about this one, to be honest. I mentioned pretty much everything that I really enjoyed about it.
Do you two have any additional thoughts?
I am still not sold on this band, so I think that this I want to like them a lot, and for whatever reason, you know what? I think that my issue is that they're too post-hardcore. I don't know how much I can elaborate on that, because it is a concept that I don't really understand myself. But it's like I hear them and I'm like, damn, this is post-hardcore. Like no shit. But I'm struggling to find anything that I love, but I'm finding a lot of things that I really like a lot, and for whatever reason I have yet to be sold. I really don't know what it is. I think this is the closest. This single has been the closest I am to really clicking with this band, I guess. Like, I heard this, and I had it in my playlist for a good, 3.5, 4 weeks, almost. And then I heard it one day, and I'm like, damn, I can't. It doesn't stick with me. None of it is sticking with me, and I want it to, and it's bothering me. So I feel like this is one of the albums where it's like, based on the singles alone, I'm not anticipating it because it's like, oh, I love the singles, I can't wait for the rest of the album. I'm anticipating this album because it's like, surely there has to be a song in there somewhere to sell me on this band. Finally, if that makes sense.
You might also, with context of the album, might have a better understanding of the singles. So
yeah, we'll see. I am very much excited for this album for reasons different than I'm usually excited for albums.
I think it's interesting. We just talked about Breathe Atlantis and how they I've been looking for bands that have that like soul-made sound where it's like post-hardcore, heavier instrumentals with clean vocals. That's kind of just exactly what Caskets is. And that's probably just exactly why I love them as much as I do.
It's reasonable.
I'm definitely very excited for whatever they've got coming up in the upcoming months before that album drops.
For sure.
Light the Torch are back with another single, More Than Dreaming.
Meh.
Yeah. I still don't like Howard Jones. That's what this boils down to.
I'm not sold on this band.
I'm just gonna say that like that 2018 album, whatever it was called, did not really sell me outside of like a song or two. These two singles, like I'm definitely higher on this band than I was previously. Like I'm hearing nothing that I dislike out of the singles recently. I'm also not getting anything that's really attaching me. Like, yeah, this is a solid song. I really don't have much to complain about it at all. But there's nothing that's really making me want to go back to it either. And I don't really have too much else to say other than that. So, it's a solid song. Howard Jones has some
I
powerful.
do think I like this better than the last single, though.
Yeah, I think I would
I
agree.
agree.
I think I would
I
agree.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The instrumentals are like it's too almost like straightforward metal, and it's like I can appreciate it, but I'm not gonna regularly like visit it. And then like Howard Jones obviously has like one of the most iconic, powerful, epic like metal voices out there, and it's like it's all a bit much. It's you know what this is. And this comparison is like way out of left field, so sorry in advance. It may not even make sense. But it's like, you know, when you go to like a middle school or high school like theater production, and there's that one kid that is like very obviously trying to become an actor when he grows up, and like everybody else is like kind of just vibing, and this dude's like putting like a ton of passion, and it's like, could you chill out a little bit? Like that's how I feel about Howard Jones. Does that make any sense?
I can see it. I can connect. I can make
Howard
the connection.
Jones is a high school theater kid. Like, oh shit!
It's weird though, because I loved the side project he has with Jared Dines, the song.
Oh,
he
the
did,
Blade, yeah.
I absolutely love that. So I don't.
Yeah, I think that song is better than either of these two singles.
And I've seen Light the Torch live, and just watching Howard is incredible.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Definitely strikes me as a great live show. I think maybe with the Blade, the instrumentals were a little more like metalcore-esque. I feel like there was a little bit more of a bite to them than like a traditional like just straight up like metal or power metal instrumental would be. Like that was my thing with that Unleash the Archers album last year, where it's like it's metal, but it's got like metalcore influences mixed in with the power metal. And it's like, okay, this is making me enjoy a section of the genre that I normally don't like tend to gravitate towards. Whereas this seems to lack like that bite that I'm looking for. I don't know. I'm excited to see like where this goes. I'm sure there's gonna be at least one song in this album that'll click with me, but so far these singles aren't doing a great job of selling me.
Mosaic have a brand new song called Day by Day.
I'm so holding on to everything that's killing me. You look me in the eyes and say it's over.
And I know, Justin, this is one you're quite excited to talk about. I know you've been quite into this band as of late.
Been really wanting to talk about this band on the podcast, but we keep missing every one of their singles. Day by Day has sprung on. This is probably one of my more replayed singles within the past month. I'm all for this band now. I got into this band through their Hollow EP. This song is just really good. I'm love the vocalist for the band. I feel like he does a really good job, and kind of a good mix of very subtle uncleans with cleans just wrapped around them. And I think they did really well with the instrumentals, and to me this is just a really good kind of post-hardcore song.
I know you tried to sell me on this band when you found them earlier this year, and nothing really worked for me. I think this is probably my favorite song of theirs. I'm still not like hooked on them yet, but there's definitely moments of this song, particularly the chorus, I thought was pretty nice. I'm still not sold, but definitely one that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for because I feel like eventually something is going to click with me.
Mhm.
But there wasn't enough here that made me want to go back to it all that much. But at the same time, I don't have anything bad to say about it either. Just not exactly for me.
I'm going to echo that for the most part. I think I may be a little bit higher on it in that because none of their other stuff had clicked with me, and I felt stronger about this one, it makes me want to go back to it and like see if it'll click with me. If that makes sense, like nothing inherently about the song is like driving me back to it, other than the fact that it feels like it was a higher quality than the others. And like on that virtue alone, I want to go back and see like, oh, do I really like this song? It's got potential, I feel like. And like overall, even if I don't end up loving this song, I feel like this song proves that this band itself has a lot of potential. And it's almost guaranteeing me that one day they will put something out that I really like. And I don't know, a lot of it follows the trend that I guess we've had of these smaller bands that put out like a couple okay songs and all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's this one that's like, oh shit, now you got my attention. I feel like this is the track that's doing that for me for this band.
That's good to hear.
Definitely a band we're going to keep our eyes on in the future. Conquer Divide are back with a brand new song called Messy.
When do we let this die? When did the spark leave both of our eyes? How did it get so messy?
Now, we mentioned that it had been 6 months since Caskets had released Glass Hearts. It has been, 8-9 months since Chemicals by Conquer Divide was released?
Something like that.
And about goddamn time they dropped something else, and goddamn if this ain't one of my favorite songs of the month.
I will raise you, this is one of my favorite songs of the year.
Conquer Divide. Can Conquer Divide do wrong?
No.
The
answer is no.
I have heard 3 songs from this band. Chemicals, Messy, and one song from their previous album that I got bored one day and was like, what did they used to sound like 5 years ago?
Right.
I haven't listened to that full album yet. I plan on doing it eventually, but can this band do anything wrong? No. Add this onto the list of one of my most anticipated albums of this year, if it drops this year. Messy is a fantastic song. They lean much more into their pop rock kind of side. There's basically, I don't think there's any unqueens in this song, which I think is uncharacteristic for them, but at the same time, they make it work so goddamn well anyway that I don't really care whether or not they have them. There's some really incredible lyricism that goes on in this song as well that I want to point out. In the bridge, I believe, we used to tolerate it. We became what we hated, ignoring all the signs so we don't have to compromise. This song's about a toxic relationship, as far as I'm aware. And I think that lyric, particularly that "so we don't have to compromise" line, really that's the nail in the coffin to send the message home. And I mean, that's just one section of this song. There's incredible lyricism in every verse and the chorus. What's the last line of the chorus? If this is hell, I don't want to know what heaven feels like, or something like that.
Opposite. If this is heaven, I don't want to know what hell feels
like.
Right,
yeah. That line as well is one of my favorites of the song. Overall, just fantastic song. Hella excited for more. I don't know if there's anything else to say.
Yeah, so this has 750,000 views on YouTube already.
God damn.
In under a month, which is ridiculous. I think I saw somewhere that it's getting some radio play, which makes sense,
Yeah.
Something I thought was interesting is that on Spotify, this only has, 167,000. As opposed to YouTube, which normally those numbers are maybe a little bit closer to one another. I know particularly, and we'll get to it later too, I guess, but Spirit Box, those numbers have been kind of neck and neck. I think part of the reason why this is so good, I mean, obviously the band is phenomenally talented. I mean, they've proven that time and time again. This was produced and mixed by Joey Sturgis and Tyler Smith. Joey Sturgis doing the early Attack stuff. Oh god, I See Stars. Micah Relocate, Bless the Fall, Asking Alexandria. Tyler Smith doing like stuff like Bless the Fall. He's the vocalist from Danger Kids.
Oh, I miss that band.
Yeah, me too. But all that to say that like not only is this band super talented, but they've got like an all-star lineup like producing and mixing their songs. So it's like it's very hard for them to miss, you know, when they've got that much talent as like a cohesive whole with everybody that's involved with this. And I think it really reflects in this song because the first week it came out, I heard it I think like 60 to 70 times and just I can't put it down. It's
Didn't you were playing Valorant and you just had this song on shuffle for an entire night?
Oh yeah. Like I don't get tired of it. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I listen to it. Overall, like just my excitement for this upcoming album with Chemicals was already super high. Then you give me this and it's like shit. Like we're in AOTY season now, you know? Like if the rest of the album sounds this good, for sure. And like if you had told me prior, because like I was aware of this band, I listened to a couple of songs from that 2015 album prior to Chemicals coming out. But like if you would have told me that we'd be 2 singles deep into an album cycle from this band, and I'd be considering like an upcoming album like AOTY potential, like before they put that, I'd been like no. But now that they've given us like this high of quality of songs, I'm left in very strong anticipation for what's next. I just hope that it doesn't take quite as long for the next single to come out between this and Chemicals.
Yeah, I mean, Chemicals was arguably like a top 5, at the very least top 10 metalcore song of 2020 for me. And if they're able to just completely shift gears and make another just absolutely incredible song, the gap in between Chemicals and Messy that you can fill an album with is just ridiculous. Like
for sure.
I'm just so excited. Conquer Divide are incredible. Let's move on then.
Yeah, I was about to say, Born of Osiris. You and I are both waiting for each other to transition.
Yeah, definitely.
Born of Osiris are back, kind of, sort of, with their second single from, I believe, this new album cycle. And this one's
Is this
entitled
Simulation
Angel
Part
Alien.
2?
No. I don't think that was ever confirmed, and I feel like
This sounds like the Simulation, though.
it does. This seems to have more like electronic, like background elements to it than I would have expected.
But those electronic elements, though, y'all got me on the Born of Osiris bandwagon with this one.
Really?
Those electronic elements, those electronic elements, bro, they got me hooked. Especially, like, the very end of the song, like, the keyboard, the synth, whatever it is, I'm hooked. I dig it. I mean, I don't love his vocals. I'll make that clear. I don't love his vocals, but, like, instrumentally, those electronic elements just make this song work for me so much more.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like if you give Jake a good instrumentals, he's pretty much sold on a song. Even if the vocals kind of fall a bit flat.
I think it's funny that we managed to sell Jake on Born of Osiris before I could sell myself on Born of Osiris. Like, I never anticipated that happening.
I'm still not fully sold on the band as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm just sold on this song.
This is one of those bands for me, and I think this song really solidifies it, that I don't know if I will ever, like, love a Born of Osiris song, but I will put them in in that, like, category where it's, I don't listen to this band, but I go back to their music every once in a while because it's impressive.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that's kind of where I'm at, actually. Like, I never added this song to my playlist, but it would pop up in my YouTube recommended. Like, after, like, the second or third time I'd hear it, like, at that point, I was like, all right, I think I'm kind of into it. And then it just pops up in my recommended every once in a while, and I'm like, yeah, that song, I like that one.
Yeah, the vocals in all their projects, like, they're good, but I mean, like, I feel like I could get them from any other project, whereas, like, instrumentally, like, the technicality behind it all, it's kind of just like, I don't know if I could enjoy it as, like, a song, if that makes sense, but I can enjoy it for what it is and, like, appreciate.
You gotta see them live. I think I said this before, but it's really cool.
I was gonna say if it's it's right up there. Like I guess you mentioned earlier with Light the Torch, where it's like bands that I don't love, but I feel like they would put on a phenomenal live show, and now I like really want to
this
see
is
them.
one.
That's also how I feel about Beartooth actually, and I mean we'll get to Beartooth later, I guess. But like I've heard that Beartooth puts on a phenomenal live show, and it's like all right, even if I don't like most of their music, I got to go check them out on that regard alone. Hopefully they'll come around here. Born of Osiris, I mean. Although I would take any of the other ones too. This is the Born of Osiris. If you're listening,
So,
come
is
to
it,
Richmond, Virginia.
is it an angel or an alien?
Who knows? There's probably some like motif in there that is just like so far over my head that I have no idea. That or there's nothing there, and I'm looking too far into it. But we've used this term a lot recently, but cautiously optimistic about Born of Osiris going forward. That I know
You need
that
to
if
put that on a
nothing else,
t-shirt.
exactly.
Hivemind recap podcast, cautiously optimistic.
But just that it's like even if I don't love the album, I want to listen to it for the instrumental value alone. A contender to be up there with Era for best instrumentals of the year, in my humble opinion.
I don't know if I have too much more to say. I've already hammered in the point that I think the electronic elements make this song great. Are we good to move on then?
Jake, I have a question for you.
No.
Ask me.
Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can I be your number one fan?
Unfortunately, no.
Fuck. Don Broco are back with the first single from the new album cycle entitled Manchester Super Red's Number One Fan.
This is the best song of the month.
Ooh, okay.
It is.
I'm not going to agree with you, but I'll respect it, and I'll also put it in my top 5.
I will also put it in my top 5. The album has a release date September 17th. It's called Amazing Things.
Shit, is that the same day as Spirit Box?
Maybe, who knows?
I think
Right,
it
hold on,
is. I think it is.
Now I gotta find out. Suddenly,
That rings a
September
bell.
17th, looking like the most stacked.
It sure is.
No, just
Why did
wait
I
for
just go
at
to
least
Twitter?
just wait for at least 2 more albums to stack up. Actually, you aren't as big on the Caskets hype train.
I just looked at our upcoming albums. Yep, it's Eternal Blue is on the 17th.
Bro, I went to go type in Spirit Box into Twitter and typed in September 17th and hit search, and I was like, why is it not here?
Yeah, this is I'd say the first Don Broco song that's really clicked with me, and it's just so fun. Like the music video as well. Oh my god.
Music video is just a really good David Beckham advertisement.
None of those people are David Beckham.
I know. That's the
It bothered
point.
me. It bothered me. I'm like, you got like 6 David Beckhams here, and none of them is the real one. Like, at that point, oh, that would be sick if they could get like maybe a redone feature, and then like suddenly like actually get David Beckham. Like somebody's got to bring this to his attention. I feel like there's somebody out there with personal ties to David Beckham who's a Don Broco fan. There's got to be.
You're wrong. There's 6 David Beckhams and a dinosaur.
Oh, yo, my bad. The whole time it was actually just David Beckham in the dinosaur costume.
Yeah, this is one of the more out there songs, but I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
This song is a little bit strange sometimes. I think that's kind of what puts me
I
off
think
from
that's
enjoying
Don
it fully.
Broco's whole thing.
Yeah,
is party
that's-
music.
Yeah. Don Broco, I feel like they make more weird songs than not, but they do it in a way that works.
Yeah.
That's probably why I haven't been able to fully click with this band whenever I've checked them out. It's
Really?
it's kind of at the point, like, it's at that barrier of, like, is it too strange, too far out there for me to actively enjoy it? I've yet to be convinced on something that I've heard from this band. Like, I'm not going to say this is a bad song. There are definitely some parts of it that I enjoyed, but it's just, eh?
To your point, this didn't click with me on first listen, and I feel like that is the Don Broco special. Like, for me, I have never liked a Don Broco song the first time I heard it. I have to, like, re-listen to it a couple of times to, like, get into the Don Broco mentality. It's how how I'll put it, because I feel like their music is out there, like we mentioned, and that's like I kind of have to set myself up when I'm listening to new Don Broco or whatever for the first time, that like I need to be in the Don Broco headspace before I can fully appreciate it, and once I like it, it just clicks.
I got
Which is-
I got some lyrics.
Hit
that I
me
thought
with
were
it.
Hilarious.
Hit me with it.
I like to go berserk, then trap the thirst. I like to fuck the world and then save the earth.
That might be.
That-
I like to fuck the world and save the earth might
Yeah,
be my
that is-
favorite
that's-
delivery all year.
I know, and it makes no sense.
Mm-mm. No, it like again. That's the Don Broco special. Like it feels
I'm trying to process what I just heard, and it's getting harder with every passing second.
somebody said, "Do you guys know that video?" And this is like again something out of left field, but like there's a video that came out on YouTube like maybe a decade ago where it's like what English sounds like to non-English speakers. And it's like
It's
a family
definitely
sitting around a
popped up
dinner
in my
table.
recommended, but I've never listened to it.
Well, anyway, it sounds like really, really, really strange. And somebody compared listening to Don Broco to listening to that video, where it's like half of what they're saying like doesn't make sense, and you just kind of have to roll with. Like it feels like some Don Broco lyrics feel like they're speaking a different language almost, even though it's
I
in
feel
English.
like that's John Mess as well.
Yeah, true, true. Yo, and they toured together. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Everything
I
is coming
remember that was a
together.
good tour.
The Don Broco cinematic universe is like slowly but surely piecing itself together. Oh god, all that to say that this is a really good song, and suddenly it's like, oh, I need the new Broco album right now.
So is Action gonna be on that album or no?
No, that was just kind of a standalone single,
Yeah,
tied you
that's what I-
over.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, which on one hand, I'm upset about because that's one of my favorite Broco songs, but at the same time, like it makes sense. Like that would be a 2-year-old song going onto an album, and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of bands that are back with their first new single since their last album, Point North. Let me have this. Point North are back. Oh, I fucked that up so bad. Point North are back with their new single. Oh fuck. Nice Now.
Who never knew me? You wanna be nice now, huh? You're so nice now, huh? Just to laugh with your friends every day. Now you can't get away from my name.
You'll get there.
I mean,
Somebody's
you did
gotta
get
take
there.
transition permissions away from me.
Yeah,
Like,
you
that's
kind
gotta be
of went
done.
into that. You didn't give me the correct amount of awkward silence pause to be able to take the
Dog.
reins.
Look.
Anyway.
Look, see, well, here's the problem. See, I was so like wrapped up in making sure that I didn't get that wrong, and like they hadn't put anything out since that last album cycle, that like I was on their Spotify page, and then I forgot the name of the single, and it just all kind of fell apart from there.
This is why you look at our playlist, because that's easier.
But he's checking up the. never
Yeah,
mind.
look, I had problems. It's fine. We roll with it. What are we feeling about this?
This song is hella fun. Lyrics are kind of cheesy, but that just not what pop punk kind of is?
Yes.
It's pop punk in its finest, but it's not what I listen to this band for. It's weaker than anything off their Brand New Vision album.
Say it
I will
again for the
disagree.
people in the
I
back.
think this is their best song.
Ooh.
I don't think this is their best song, but this is like probably
What?
top. This is like top
wait,
half.
hold on. Jacob, I need you to stop. Jacob, what did you say?
This is their best song.
How
I
dare?
like pop punk. I don't know. I didn't really click with the album. It was last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a.
I
that is
like
a
the
bold
pop
claim.
punk.
How can you not click with what song is it called? Hold on.
You just
No
like,
one's listening.
He's personally hurt. This is Justin. This is how I felt when you guys said that you weren't vibing entirely with that Convictions EP. I felt like personally attacked. Like,
Hey, we'll get to that.
we're getting, my bad.
But yeah, I thought it was alright. I didn't hate this song, but it's also just like everything else off that album. Just lyrically, I enjoyed more than this song. And instrumentally, it sounds fine. It's pop punk at its finest.
Yeah, I'm not super sold on this. I prefer them when they're more like it's pop punk with post-hardcore vibes, Whereas this just feels like more like traditional fun pop punk, and that's not necessarily a genre that I love. So I find myself being kind of let down by this, especially because I was so high on Brand New Vision, you know? This may be one of those things where it's like I need to, like we were talking about earlier, not listening to a song under the Breathe Atlantis name or under the Attack name. Like, maybe I need to just, like, not think about that previous album and go into it and listen to this, and maybe I'll like it more. I don't know. I had high expectations based on that last album. This feels like it's kind of let me down a little bit.
I agree.
This one kind of just fell on that same wavelength as the album for me. Like, I really enjoyed this. It's just got so much fun energy to it, like, amongst the kind of cheesy lyrics where it's like there's something about like a social, like, you're coming at me for like a social media page that now I don't run or something like that. Why did you wait until 2021? I think is the lyric. I definitely butchered that mega hard, but whatever. Like,
Get the vibe.
Yeah, you get the vibe. Like, the lyrics are cheesy, but like the amount of fun energy in this song, like, I can't help myself but sing along to it whenever I hear it. Almost. Like that, you want to be nice now, huh? Like, it's just so catchy. It's definitely more memorable than a handful of songs off of that album last year for me. Overall, I'm really happy with this song.
You know what song I am not happy with?
Hit me with it.
Yup. Solence are back with a new single entitled Thunder.
You feel the thunder, sparking up for each day's thunder. I'm not alive without I'm thunder. Running through my
Let's let Jake have this one.
Hand it over to the Solence apologist, why don't you?
Uh-huh.
Now let me hit you with this one.
Yeah,
What if
we're gonna let you talk, and then we're gonna tell you why you're wrong.
what if I told you that Solence put out a song on the same level as that album from The Score last year, which I know, Justin, you were very disappointed in. But, like, if I'm me,
Okay, I can see why you like it.
if I'm me, this song would have fit on that album almost. Like,
Almost.
it has more of an alternative rock kind of stadium rock-esque feel to it, to me. It's completely different from anything that they have ever done before. And I don't love it. This is not what I want from Solence necessarily, but something about it clicked for me, and I had it on repeat a handful of times throughout the month. There's something about the lack of pop that this song has where, like, it doesn't hit very hard at times. Like, there's just kind of a lack of instrumentation. But at the same time, that lack of instrumentation also pops. It's a weird contradiction, but it just works for me. I don't know what else there's to say. I'm the Solence apologist. I like this song. That's all I can say.
They said thunder 40 times in that song, and
Did they?
it lost its
count it
meaning
right?
the second time they said it.
Not 40.
40. I
Did
just
you
went to
count
the
it?
lyrics and controlled F. They did it 40 times.
Not.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
Well, see, now we gotta see.
What's
Does
the
it
next?
have more or less thunders than Imagine Dragons?
While you're looking that up, I'm gonna.
I got
I'm
it.
gonna
I
create-
got it. We're in Thunder. No, Imagine Dragons said it 78 times. So
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Fuck.
Someone's got a way to go before it hits worst song in the world.
exactly, man. Well, I don't know about that one, Jake, because this is pretty bad.
Bro, Thunder by Imagine Dragons is some absolute garbage tier.
I would almost sooner listen to that than this.
That's a shame.
I will say, the art that they're going for the next next couple of releases does look pretty good, and I'm kind of interested
Yes.
to see how their album art looks. But this song just has no substance to it. Like,
Yep.
it is. That's kind of the issue I have with some stadium rock songs. Is it's there for the sound. When you actually try to dig deep and actually try to understand the meaning of it,
Mm-hmm.
there is nothing. It's just there to sound good, and that's it. There
Yeah,
isn't a
I
deeper
wouldn't
meaning behind it.
disagree with any of that, but sometimes that's all I need. Sometimes that's all I want to.
I mean, that's understandable, and you do you. I was gonna say, at the bottom level, the song
Yeah.
not great.
Which song has more meaning to it? Good fucking music or Thunder?
Neither, because it's a Solon song.
Yeah.
You know, I
Damn.
will defend good fucking music, but
Hey.
the song is
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah. I thought good fucking music was just like like it's there, whatever. I don't feel any particular way about
it
it.
knows it's bad, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good because of
I
it.
I thought it was just satirical for the sake of being satirical. I couldn't really
yeah.
get behind it any other way.
My problem now with this band is that I actually did like Deafening quite a good bit. And so it's like they gave me hope. I had hope that like maybe they would start to redeem themselves and go back to like that debut album style type of thing.
No.
And then this, it's just so bad. I really don't like this. I feel bad almost saying it because we've spent a lot of time like bashing on this band in the past, but I can't get into it. There's nothing to grasp onto. Like Justin said, it's got no substance.
Solon's fans have no fear. I am the Solon's apologist.
Yeah, it's all fun against the excommunicate Jake. Then what?
Look, this motherfucker's gonna put it in his top 10, and then we have
No,
to take
no.
over.
Yeah.
No. I mean, yeah, no.
It is.
no.
I'm telling you right now. I'm calling.
I can name you 10 better
June
songs that
5th, 2021. It is going to be in your top 10.
I can name you 10 better songs that have been released this year, and just to let you know, they all come off of that Dark and Beautiful Secrets album.
I'm not
Yup.
saying. I'm saying the album this is going to be on is going to be in your top 10.
Oh, okay.
That's
He's
what
like,
I'm
"Yeah,
talking about. Fuck the song.
All right, okay. Let's move on.
Man.
Let's move on.
Yeah, you didn't even fucking
I'm
He's
not
not
gonna,
defend it. You
denying
said
it.
okay, move on.
I'm not gonna deny it because you know what? Sometimes you roll the dice and sometimes it lands.
I hope not.
What-
I hope
what-
not
that's
too. It's gonna have to rely on a lot of other shit shitting the bed.
Look, we got too many albums coming out that are good in the next 6 months for you to even put that anywhere near your top 10. If it does, there will be protesting. There will be riots in the streets. I've had enough.
If that happens, would you say that I
The
don't know
hive
you?
mind is unfair. Jake is in there.
Anyway, back to my
Hive mind.
transition. If it
Yeah.
does make my top 10, would you say that I don't know you anymore? Oh wait, that's the name of this new song from Outside Our Heart. Haha.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're worse than me, but you just can't agree that you've been lying to yourself.
One day we'll get a good transition. Today's
We've had
episode.
some good
Someday.
transitions in the past. Come
We're
on.
gonna-
I think Derek's was spot on earlier.
Yeah. Nice now one.
Look, man, there's no need. It's like bullying at this point.
No,
Yo,
I'm
bully the
being
guy who
honest.
likes soul.
No.
It's not me. What the fuck?
No, I was being honest. That was a legitimate compliment from the bottom of my
Uh-huh.
heart.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Confusion.
Man, let's talk about how good this song is.
Yeah, Outside Our Heart have been like quietly releasing a lot of really good material for a while now. And this is just another one to add to that. Like, this band's gonna drop an EP or an album at some point, and it's gonna fly under so many people's radars, but it's like at the same time going to maybe be like a contender for one of the best. I think like if they drop an EP, I think it's in contention for like potentially top 10 EP of the year, top 5 even. I mean, given the strength of EPs this year, I think that's a little bit more questionable. But Outside Our Heart are on a hot streak, and this is not the last we're going to be talking about them because they dropped some B-sides later on in the month as well, in the form of an EP, which we'll be getting to. But this song's really solid. Vocals as good as ever. Instrumentally, it's nothing crazy, but it all just works really nicely together. I'm sold on this band. I mean, like, I've been sold on this band since they dropped Like the Rest last year, which is still my favorite song of theirs, and also was their second song, which is kind of incredible to be releasing a second song as good as that one is. But I mean, this band's on the up and up. Don't sleep. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, I am really also digging this. Prior to hearing that or this month, I wasn't entirely super like convinced by them. This and that EP that we'll be talking about later really kind of opened my eyes in a sense that it's like, okay, now I need to pay attention to this band. There's a lot of good to like here. I don't know if there was like any particular thing in it that super like stood out to me in a sense that was like something unique that I'd never heard before, but I liked everything that I heard. Definitely one of the in my opinion better singles that came out this month.
I don't know if there's too much more to say. Just solid song. Club Danger have a brand new song out, Till Someone Gets Hurt.
It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. Someone gets hurt. Someone gets hurt.
I feel like we're kind of getting back into the cycle of talking about some more of the alt-rock, stadium rock type bands. Because we had Club Danger and The Score both dropping albums last year, and now they're both kind of getting back into dropping some new music. And I think the interesting thing about this song, Derek, I don't know if you picked up on it, but this one reminds me a lot of early Grandson, and I think that's why I enjoy this song so much.
Oh, now that you mention that, that makes sense.
This
I
song,
don't
this
think I
song,
would have drawn that connection.
yeah,
but-
this song gives me very much early Grandson songs like Best Friends and Kiss Bang, and given that I had kind of just expected more generic stadium rock from them in the past, to get something like this that does kind of stray a little bit from that was definitely a nice surprise. I really enjoyed this song. I went back to it quite a bit throughout the month.
This is their first since that album last year,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
I actually enjoyed, for somebody who's not super into stadium rock, alt rock, I enjoyed that Club Danger self-titled album a lot. And I think that this does a decent job of continuing that. I'm not, again, like super sold on it just because, you know, it's not necessarily my particular like type of music, I guess would be a way to put it. But I didn't hate it, which like there's a couple genres where if I hear a song and I don't hate it, like I consider that a win. So I will take this Club Danger song every day of the week. Do we know if this is like, has this been announced as like a standalone or like are we getting another
I don't
EP
know.
album soon?
I think it's up in the air as far as I'm aware.
Man, I would be interested. This and another band we'll be talking about later are doing a good enough job of making me intrigued about alt rock stadium rock again. Very excited to see where this goes going forward.
Justin, you have any thoughts on this one? Because I know you've been into this
I
band.
didn't like it.
Man.
I gave it a couple listens, but I just
Sorry.
arguably same
I feel like
issues
you've been having a falling out with this alt rock kind of stuff lately.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point where I'm more into the melodic post hardcore instead of alt rock.
yeah.
But I don't know. Is it City Wolf?
Yeah, City Wolf's still dropping bangers every once in a while.
Yeah, City Wolf I've been more into the most out of any band, but I have been going back to some of the Zayde Wolf stuff. This one that just didn't click with me.
I don't know if there's too much more to say. I would make a funny transition here based on the name of this next song, but I don't know if that's worth it. Beartooth have dropped a new song called Fed Up.
Fed up with you, fed up with my friends. Fed up with seeing hell in my head.
I am fed up with Beartooth.
I am fed up with these breakdowns that they keep forcing into my ears.
But this song made me realize what the problem is.
Okay, what's the problem?
It's Caleb Shomo's voice.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah, we will
Um,
never make a Beartooth fan out of you then.
so the cleans I don't mind, but
Mhm.
screams there.
Yep.
Caleb Shomo
Why-
Queens are the best part of his voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big agree. Maybe that's why I don't like Attack Attack. I think it might be all coming together now that you said that. I don't know.
Like original Attack Attack.
Yeah, original Attack Attack. No, new Attack
Yeah.
Attack slaps. I fuck with new Attack Attack. 1, 2, 3, hey, ladies and gentlemen, all day, every day. I think, look, I will agree with you that the Caleb Shomo cleans are the best part of this project. I think that this song is great about everything except whatever the hell that breakdown is. I don't like it. It's weird. I'm not at all vibing with it. And there was like, what was that? Devastation had the one where it had the rainfall type like clink in the break.
No, that was hell of it. That was hell of it.
Oh, hell of it. Okay, no, Devastation was the other one I liked. I mean, then of course, there's The Past is Dead, which is chef's kiss. Ironically, only demonstrating Caleb Shomo cleans in that song, so maybe there's a correlation there. Yeah, between this and Hell of It, it's like Devastation of The Past is Dead had me excited for a Beartooth album. I think Hell of It and Fed Up are both like good, okay songs with bad breakdowns, and now my expectations for this Beartooth album are muddled. It comes out this month, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Boy.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get stuff more in the vein of The Past is Dead than anything else, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I think Caleb Shomo's too committed to bringing back rock and roll, and it's holding him back. Because, I mean, that's this project's whole thing, is like, oh, rock and roll is not dead. Beartooth still exists. It's like, yeah, fuck, just let it die. At this point, euthanize Beartooth, move on, put Shomo in some sort of more, like, metalcore outfit, and let him be.
No.
Like,
No more screaming for him.
We're not euthanizing Beartooth, we're euthanizing Caleb Shomo. Is that what you're saying?
No.
The solution to all of it is to put
I
Caleb
want
Shomo to
I
death.
want him to do cleans only. That's what I want.
More The Past is Dead-esque material. Por favor.
Exactly.
I want to switch gears a little bit because I really enjoyed this song. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Beartooth are one of my favorite bands that I'll never admit I actually really enjoy. But I wouldn't be surprised if this album ends up in my top 10 end of the year, in all honesty. Based on the strength of The Past is Dead, Devastation, and this one, like I think it's a very real possibility.
It's got
we'll see.
potential.
We'll see at the end of the month, but I really enjoyed this song. The way this song opens up with, it's got like a nice build, and then that line of "I never want peace, I thrive in the panic" into the riff. I really enjoyed that. And I know you mentioned you weren't huge on the breakdown, but I thought the breakdown was pretty sick as well. I mean, yeah, it's what I said. It's like Beartooth are one of my favorite bands that I'll never really like say are one of my favorite bands.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Guilty
band, right?
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all on board with this one. Very excited for the album.
Man, little band, little podcast darling here, Marwood's Fall, are back with their new song, Glory.
Empire I created, leave me broken, make me bow to you.
I feel
liking
like,
this.
yeah, I think this is probably my favorite of their recent singles that they've dropped. This feels like they're starting to create more of an identity for themselves.
Mhm.
Where in the past, I feel like it's been very easy for us to compare them to Breaking Benjamin as a big influence. Whereas this starts to feel like they're on the cusp of something.
Yeah.
I don't think this is one of my favorite songs of the month. It's solid. It's nothing special. I didn't go back to it all that much. But there's definitely potential there, and it's been growing with every single they've been releasing as of late. I definitely appreciated instrumentally what they were able to do and like the riffs throughout the song. But
I also very much enjoyed the drums in this song. I feel like they had a real punch to them. Yeah, no, like you mentioned, this band feels like it's giving itself an identity outside of their influences. Which, you know what? Good on them. Good on them for it. I think that it was due time for that, and it's got me pretty excited about how they are moving forward. Not even off of like an upcoming EP or whatever, but just like in general moving forward for this project, that as they find their footing and give themselves their own identity while keeping those influences. I mean, that's exactly, when we talked about that last single, that was exactly what I wanted them to do. And like you mentioned, it feels like they've kind of sort of achieved that with this one. So moving forward, I am excited. I am a fan of Marwood's Fall with this single.
you'll like to see it. With all that being said, I don't know if there's too much more to be said, though. I feel like it's one of those ones where it's like good, but there's not a lot to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on then. Dead Eyes have a brand new single. They're back after quite a while. They got a brand new song called Break in the Current.
It comes in waves and I'm sinking.
think it's funny how I found this band. They released a song called Prisoner back in 2019, and I discovered them right around the time that dropped, and then they just kind of went radio silent for 2 years. But then they come back and drop this, and I am all on board with this song. Dead Eyes are back and better than ever, if you ask me.
I'm not super sold on the instrumentals. I need a bit more time with this, but I can
I'm-
get on board with their with
I'm not
how
sold on the
they're
vocals.
sounding at the moment.
You said you're
Yeah,
not sold on the
that's-
vocals?
The
Yeah.
instrumentals.
Well,
no,
but Jacob.
Jacob.
I'm
in the same-
Yeah, I said.
I'm in the same boat.
I think it's interesting you mentioned that. Let me see if this puts it into perspective, because I feel like he, at times, sounds like Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach.
Okay, I only know whatever that song is called. Cut
Last
My Life
Resort?
into Pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
especially
can see
especially in the
I see
opening
it.
verse, the opening verse particularly reminds me of Papa Roach. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what to take from that, but it's definitely one of the influences I noticed here.
Yeah, it strikes me as the same. I that kind of aggressive, almost like hip hop style vocals, Like I feel like it has to be done really well in this sort of context for me to enjoy it and vibe with it. And I don't know if like this band absolutely sold me on their delivery of it. I think the instrumentals are fine. I like the instrumentals, and for the most part, I do like the vocals in that song. It's just when they get into that sort of style, I'm not quite as high on the band as I want to be. It feels like it sours my impression of the song just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only complaint that I really have with this song is the way that it fades out. Where you just put a fade on the instrumentals and keep the vocals going. I don't know how else to describe it, but I don't
Yeah.
particularly love when you just put a fade at the end of a song and call it done. I'm sure there's more that
Yeah.
went into it than that in the mixing and mastering and whatever. But I just didn't love the way that it closed in that way.
It feels lazy.
Yeah, instead of having like a instrumental conclusion, you just get the audio and fade it out. And yeah, I think it works well for older material, and I'm talking like 70s, 80s music,
Mhm.
whatever. But like nowadays, it's not something you hear as much anymore, and I feel like it's because a lot of bands have developed more ways to end those songs. So, and who knows, maybe if this is on something, that fade will work as a transition, maybe it'll be
Mhm.
contextualized a little bit better, but no, I agree. As of right now, I'm not super high on that either. Something I am super high on is this new track from Sullivan King called Loud, featuring Jason Allen Butler from Fever 333. Full disclosure, I don't like Fever 333, but I think this track slaps.
Outside of the wub wubs, this song slaps.
What?
I'm not huge on the wub wubs.
Yeah.
Man.
There's aspects of dubstep that I do actually enjoy, like when I listen to it once in a blue moon. But the wub wubs are not it for me. Like, what are like some of the other classic dubstep noises? I'm not cultured in the genre as much as you are at this point.
I could not even begin to attempt to make the sounds if you could hold a gun to my head. Like, yeah, no, I'm not. Definitely not whatever that was.
Justin, was that you?
Evidently not.
You, Jacob. Oh, God, I don't know.
Wait.
To me, what? Oh, shit.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this. I mean, Sullivan King, god tier dubstep producer at this point, like genre defining. Like he just basically created an entire subset of the genre. Like fuck it. This to me screams like festival energy. Like or
Yeah.
a rave or something like that. Like I heard this shit. I can't remember exactly what the call is, but it has something to do with Loud. And I was like, damn, I would love to be at like a concert or a music festival, like surrounded by people and just watch the crowd go ape shit when like that call out gets said. Like, it's just, I feel like Sullivan King does a good job of incorporating like heavier aspects of metal into EDM and doing so in a way that feels like really hype. Like the breakdowns are like not always like they're sometimes like the breakdowns that we're used to, but also like incorporating it into like EDM drops, and it's just all just really hype. And on top of that, you get Jason Allen Butler, who, as much as I like don't like I mentioned, I don't like Fever 333, but I will give him props for creating music that like makes me want to crowd kill shit. Like it's very hype. So when you combine the two, you get a song that for me was just really good, really hype, like high energy, something that I want to listen to. You know, maybe while I'm working out or doing something around the house. I have a appreciation, I guess we'll say, for this song, and I really enjoyed it.
As I said, outside of the wubs, I also really enjoyed this song. The wubs were just a little bit much for me.
Yeah, I think I don't mind it. It's just like too much of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think the wub part went on for a while.
Yeah.
It's a very long wub wub.
Oh no!
Love.
What a travesty!
I don't know, I just remember being like, all right, we're like 15 seconds into the wubs and they just keep going.
You're checking your watch. Like, all right, when's the metal coming back? Like,
It just felt very long to me, that part.
Yeah.
Everything else I thought was sick, but
yeah.
that's my only complaint with this. I almost wish that Sylvan King would do like that, the what was it, Venomous with Spencer of Ice Nine Kills, where that song was more just typical rock in a way, post-hardcore.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any EDM elements. I almost wish if we can get somewhere in the middle between that song and this, where it's a little bit more metalcore influence with some like EDM dubstep influences, I feel like I'll really be hooked on a song if we get some happy medium between the two.
I am going to recommend you his 2019 album Show Some Teeth, which it's got everything on it. I mean, he's got acoustic songs with just him singing, and then there's like a guitar solo in it. Like there's traditional metal, there's metal with EDM. It's like, this is probably like one of the more like EDM influenced type songs that you would find on that album.
Got it. All right.
I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on it in approximately 2.5 years.
After he gets to dispose of the project.
Yeah, exactly.
That's too much leeway on his album checklist.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Versus Me are back with a brand new single called Control.
Take me away from here. Make it all.
Versus you?
No. This song goes hard. I really enjoyed this song. Am I alone on that one?
I also enjoy it.
Hell yeah. I think I have a new favorite Versus Me song.
It's not that hard. They didn't really release a lot of stuff after their last album.
Yeah, that 2019 album had a lot of good but not very memorable songs for me, except for Miss Out and arguably Give Me a Reason being memorable but not one that I go back to all that often. This song is basically, you take all of the good parts from that album, from like a specific song, like you take a really good chorus from a song like Give Me a Reason, you get the really good parts from Miss Out, like the heavier parts of Miss Out, you put them together, this is the song that you get. I love this. I really enjoy. I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did.
Yeah, this isn't my favorite Versus Me song. I think that this would fit in well with that previous album, maybe around like the middle of the pack, in terms of what I enjoyed. I was hoping that for a lead single, I might get something that I felt a little more strongly about. But I mean, I guess I have a very distinct memory of the first time I listened to Continuous, that 2019 album, and it was just all like blowing me away. Even if I didn't end up in the end like as strong on it, I still just have this perception of Versus Me as a band that like is going to blow me away on the first time I listen to something. And listening to Control for the first time, I wasn't super impressed. With revisits, like I did enjoy this song a lot more as time went on, but I don't know. I wanted something a bit more with a wow factor.
Mhm.
That this didn't quite have for me. But either way, I mean, I'm always excited for new Versus Me, and we'll see where they go. Hopefully, I would like to see. There was that song on the last album, Up at Night, and I remember like the first time I heard it, there was like a like big house, almost a dubstep drop just in the middle of the song out of nowhere instead of a breakdown, and I was just like floored by it. And I'd like to see those sort of electronic influences, almost similar to a Sullivan King kind of thing, I guess, topically, in some of the new singles that gets released. And obviously, like this.
I was just about to say, I like the breakdown with all the electronic elements.
Yeah, the breakdown in this song is sick. It has kind of a spooky vibe to it.
Yeah.
For me, it feels very spooky. I don't know what noise about it makes it spooky, but it has the spooky vibe to it. I feel like just in
go
general,
back and keep the spooky vibe in mind.
I feel like in general that like a lot of the electronic elements of this song make it feel a little bit spooky.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed it. His clean vocals are definitely like my favorite part of his. I'm not as high on his uncleans, so whenever he leans more into that clean vocal, I'm a big fan. But I think what really makes this song great for me is that the unclean vocals didn't put me off in the way that they have in the past. Whereas like his queens, like no matter what this band is going to put out, his clean vocals are always going to be amazing. It's the uncleans that I think are going to be the make or break for me. And in this song, the uncleans worked for me. Everything just clicked here, so I'm super happy with this.
I think my problem with new Visionary now is if everything they release is going to sound like.
You mean Versus Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say Visionary? Fuck. I was looking at the playlist.
Yeah.
Same names kind of threw me off.
Yeah.
Versus Me, I feel like you can slot any of their new songs, especially Control, on their continuance album, and it will all just kind of feel like it was on that album. I kind of want to see more variation with what they've got.
Yeah.
Maybe something with just cleans or just uncleans. You know, just something to kind of mix it up a little bit. But honestly, I'm cool with whatever they release. It all sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point, too, is that with their first album, or any band's first album, really, it feels like that gives you an opportunity to, like, see what works, and then you see the second album having a bit more, like, variation to it. And like you said, this does feel like it fits in and is in the same vein as that previous material. So it's like, okay, well, they've got one album in, they've settled in their sound, but I need something maybe a bit more to distinguish them.
Okay,
apart
cool,
from
but
the rest of the bag.
Continuous was their second album.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
The hell?
Yeah. They had a 2016
No.
album.
Oh! Ignore me then. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Let's move on then. Justin, take the wheel.
Yeah, I ruined my transition because I'm an idiot. Fucking Visionary with their new single, Temples.
Or Visionary. fucking Visionary.
Burning down the skyline. Fuck the rules till the end of time.
This is another band I've been kind of wanting to talk about because it's melodic core at its finest. Not quite as high on it as I am with Mosaic. I feel like the instrumentals on this really sell the band. I wasn't specifically on this song alone. I wasn't too fond of it. They had a really good "Midnight Sky" by Miley Cyrus cover last year, and I was kind of hoping something similar to that would be what they'd be releasing next. But I like what I got. It's just probably not going to be something I'm gonna spin heavily toward the later end of the year. And apparently this song also had a feature from a band called I Am King. I didn't know about that until the music video was published. It's also kind of not noticeable. So apart from that, I don't really have much else to say. It's just it's melodic core at its finest, but I don't think it's different from anything else you would get from like a Mosaic or hell, even like more mainstream post melodic hardcore.
I think it's fitting that you make that comparison to Mosaic, where they have distinct sounds from each other, but at the same time they have a lot of similarities in where it's solid, but there isn't anything too memorable for me. Like I don't think there's anything bad about this song. Like, this is a smaller band that definitely has potential. Definitely go check them out, because very good chance they will be dropping, like, they'll drop a hit song eventually. The potential is there.
They have posted within the last couple of days that they have summer music coming out, so we'll probably get a couple more singles within the next few months.
But yeah, I think this band, this song is solid, but it's just not super memorable. I'm excited to keep an eye on this band to see what they got in store for the future, though.
You guys got anything else on Visionary? We good to move on?
No, just overall something I found to be solid. Another one like I mentioned earlier, I believe it was with oh god, it's escaping me. But either way, something that I thought was good and it made me want to revisit it. And now let's go back to what the rest of this band has to offer too.
Well then, I think it's a matter of time before we move on. Fight the fate of a brand new song called Matter of Time.
The iron's hot if you're ready or not. We'll strike. You learn you're not immune. It's a matter of time till you face.
Yay. I'm funny, man. Anyway, this is probably my favorite of the recent Fight the Fade singles.
This is my least favorite, so it's a good thing we're on the same page.
This just, to me, this just feels like bread and butter Fight the Fade. This is just another solid song for the discography. It's nothing game breaking for them, but if you enjoy their sound as I do, this song's solid. You get solid opening, solid verses, pretty solid chorus. I mean, I just enjoy it. I mean, I think me saying that this is my favorite of the recent singles comes down to the fact that I didn't give Old Wounds very much playtime, and Cut and Run fell off for me pretty fast, so almost by de facto default, whatever, this falls into place as my favorite. But yeah, regardless, I still really enjoyed this.
I feel like the instrumentals in this are my crux for this song. I feel like they blend too much in this song to the point where they become forgettable, and the vocals really don't set that apart. They really don't do anything else. Old Wounds and Cut and Run had variations in vocal delivery, plus they really leaned on their electronic sound with Cut and Run. And that's the sound I kind of look for in this band. Now that they've put that out, like, until they put something on that caliber, I'm just kind of okay with it. Old Wounds I was a bit more lenient on because it was that same variation of vocal delivery. This song, it just felt kind of bland after the first minute or two.
Yeah, that's about where I'm sitting on it. I didn't mind the vocals. I thought that they were good, actually. But yeah, instrumentally, there's nothing really to cling to here. Like you mentioned, the song suffers for it. I don't think it's a bad song, but I'm not left wanting to go back to it after hearing it once.
I don't know if I have too much more to add or say.
Let me tell you. Oh, go ahead.
Before you transition, I will plug Cut and Run again, because Cut and Run is really good.
You'll keep plugging for a second. I got a cookie in my mouth. I thought it'd take longer.
Right, fine, I'll take your transition from you.
No,
Spiritbox put out Secret Garden, the second single, or is it third off their new album?
Fourth?
Is it fourth now?
Yeah.
Yep.
They've released a lot recently. Fourth single off their new album Eternal Blue, releasing September 17th.
Circle With Me finally sold me on this band.
This is my
Secret
favorite
Garden is continuing on that path. This is a great
Makes me
song.
happy.
This is I am seeing the AOTY season potential now. It is
Good.
My eyes are open to it. Yeah, I mean, Courtney doesn't need to use her screams at all to make an amazing song, and this song is just proof of that.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are gonna be mad that this band metalcore make heavy no.
Push. Silence.
The Spirit Box are all the better because of it, almost. The fact that they can do something like this.
Yeah,
It's just I'm hella excited.
Yep.
Spirit Box are incredible.
Yeah, my look, my favorite part about this song. I mean, you talked about too that how great of a vocalist Courtney is, just in all facets.
I'm hoping it's the same as what I'm gonna say.
Okay, I wanted to mention how they can make guitar sound like a bass.
Is that wait? It's not it's not a bass.
No, no, that's guitar.
What
The bass just lays the groundwork. It's not bass. I know, it's crazy. It's super impressive. In the verses,
I was gonna say it's the bass.
yeah, no, it's guitar. It's just tuned low and played differently. They don't have the bass do anything besides like just the at least in this they don't have it do anything besides just the for lack of a better term bass line rhythm. Which there's a song off their 2019 EP Electric Cross that does the same thing, and I thought it was bass until somebody pointed it out to me and like, no, it's just guitar. Which is like insane. But that guitar or bass sounding guitar is far and away my favorite part about this band. It really demonstrates that like Courtney is very active, like social media type front woman would be the term. And is a great face of the band, but she is not all this band is. I mean, I think that instrumentally this band holds their own like just as strongly. And I mean, Circle With Me, Secret Garden, Constance, and Holy Roller being the four singles, I guess, off of this upcoming album, and I couldn't be more excited. This is like, Jake mentioned AOTY season, like this is very strongly, probably the album announced right now that has the strongest AOTY potential for me. I'm just so excited to see what continues. I think they said there'd be one more single between Secret Garden and when the album releases, so we have that to look forward to probably sometime in July or August. But yeah, Secret Garden getting like Circle With Me getting radio play. You know, this band's monthly listeners have shot up by what was it? I think it's 225,000 since Circle With Me dropped, and it just continues to grow. It's insane. This band getting a lot of attention and love and deserving of all of it.
Yep.
I have something to say about this band as well, but I feel like it's like in the same vein as you with Caskets, Derek, where I really want to love them, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Holy Roller. I think this is the second best song, but
I'll have you know that Circle With Me is my second most played song of the year as of now.
Oh damn!
According to Last.fm.
I'll take that.
Between last time when we talked about it in our April recap and now, it has become my second most played song of the entire year in the span of a month.
Man, I will say, Jacob, that for me, that's how I felt about the band until I heard Constance, and suddenly, like, everything clicked, and now they're one of my favorite bands. So I'm wondering if, with the next single, or just sometime in this album cycle, you might have that song that makes the band click for you. I'm hoping so. That's my hope.
Like, I enjoyed the Constance music video, but the mix for me just I can't.
Yeah,
The vocals are too low.
that is one thing that I noticed, that they do tend to mix the vocals maybe just a little bit lower on the songs where, like in terms of Courtney's cleans, tend to get mixed a little bit lower, and I'm wondering why that is. But I mean, the rest of the production, I guess, is in mixing overall is just great because the way that each instrument feels like it's got its own life to it. So you know, you what is that term? Why am I blanking? I've used this term like 8 million times in my life. You win some, you lose some. Is that what I'm
cautiously optimistic? Again.
No. No, God knows I couldn't blank on that one. It's the first one that came to mind. That's the problem. No, but definitely go check this out if you haven't. Spirit Box continuing to do great things, and I am more than excited for their upcoming album.
The last thing I want to mention before we move on, because I don't think we've mentioned it yet, is how incredible the chorus is. I don't think we've explicitly mentioned how catchy the chorus is. Courtney's vocals shine throughout the entire song, but the chorus in particular is just fantastic. Particularly the opening words where it's like, nobody waits for me and I won't. Is that the line? I don't know. whatever it is, whatever
I thought it was
follows
But I
after.
know. Hold on.
That's probably it.
Nobody waits for me, but I know. Let me see here. No, not Bruce Springsteen. Spirit Box.
That's two different sides of the coin.
Yeah, and nobody waits for me, but I know. Nobody takes me what I grow. Secret Garden, disregard my heart.
Yeah, that the opening to that chorus, the delivery
Mhm.
there in particular really stood out. The way that she changes the pitch for "And I Know," just
For sure.
really nice touch to an already fantastic song. Let's move on then to Savage Hands. They're back with a brand new song called "Love No More." I think now is a optimal time to bring up the fact that you guys requested I listen to that 2020 album
Yes.
at some point last year, and I never got to it.
I
Yeah,
know.
so-
I know.
So this new single has forced me to listen to this band. And you guys were entirely right. I really do need to listen to that album at some point.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're gonna listen to it in 3 years.
He's gotta.
I'm upset at myself that that's accurate.
Well, see, it can't be. It can't be because I think that this is attached eventually to a new album coming out this year, which means that before you hear their second album, you gotta hear their first.
Yeah.
I'm putting that on the table. That's my challenge to you.
You mean their second, right?
Yeah. I'm saying before he hears the second, he's got to hear their first. Fuck me. Did
There
I do
was
it
a
again?
2018 album,
God
Derek.
dang it! I am 0 for 2 tonight. Holy shit, man. Oh,
I kind of want to label this song as my robbed song of the month, as a song that I really enjoyed but did not give nearly enough playtime to.
Mm.
I will also say that I didn't listen to this as much as a lot of other singles, and I went back and listened to it before we got to it, and it's good. I really like the like unclean, like oddly chanting the "Love No More" that they do.
Yeah,
I really like
yeah.
that for some reason. I feel like it fits really well with that song and the kind of the style they're going for. But for some reason, it's just not replayable to me.
I feel the opposite because this song is replayable. It's just I haven't gone back to it very much for one reason or another.
Of all of the Savage Hands songs that I have heard, this is actually my least favorite.
Yeah,
Which
I can see that.
it's in the same vein as a Versus Me, like that single for me, where like I want the lead single to blow me away, for an album, and this didn't in the way that I wanted it to, which makes me very sad. I don't hate it by any means. I just think that it's all right and it's kind of there. And I want something more in the vein of like a Blue from Savage Hands, a song that I keep going back to, and it's got a lot of replayability for me, and there's a lot to love there that I couldn't necessarily get with other bands. Whereas with this, it feels like it's good, hard rock, metalcore, whatever, but it's nothing that I haven't heard before. And I think this band has the potential to put out stuff that's more unique. And so it just kind of disappoints me, I guess, in a way that I'm getting something that feels a little bit more generic, but I digress. Again, even if I don't love the single, I'm still excited for new Savage Hands material and for the eventual, I believe it's an album, that they said they had in the works that this is off of, but whatever this culminates to, I'm excited to hear it.
I don't know if there's too much more to be said. So let's move on then. As It Is have a brand new song called I Don't Give a Fuck, or IDGAF.
Somebody's gotta give before I give the fuck up. Close my eyes and cross my fingers, I don't wake up, 'cause I don't really want it, I really don't give a fuck.
I have missed this band.
You and me both.
I totally forgot about them too.
This was my introduction to the band, and I feel like I've been missing out.
I've missed this sound. They did have an album back in 2018? Was it 2019?
Yeah, they're great.
This
Depression.
2018.
2018, okay. Yeah, because they had the reimagined album in 2019. This sounds like something that would fit exactly on their 2017 album, okay? With a bit more well-done mixing on the instrumentals.
Yep.
This song is really good.
Yeah, this was a
Like-
pleasant surprise for me.
Yeah, I feel like Patty did really well in his vocal delivery. The kind of slow kind of lead in with the first verse into that just drop off into the loud instrumentals. Just love that part. I feel like this is good things to come only from this song.
Yeah, for sure.
The only thing I will say, the only issue is that if you came off from the Great Depression album, which is really where I started getting to the band, this song's gonna feel like a little bit of a whiplash.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely.
But if you go back and listen to their OK album, titled OK, not first
Yeah.
quality, if you go back and listen to it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that being my favorite album of theirs. Okay, this is my favorite as it is song besides Soap off of that Okay album.
I think Downtown's still my favorite off of their.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm happy. So talking about like Savage Hands and Versus Me not like really delivering as much as I wanted them to on like a lead single for whatever album cycle. This for me is that deliverance of the lead single that I want. This has stoked my my anticipation for this album very, very strongly. And I'm very excited for New As It Is, especially because it's been 3 years at this point, right? Like, I haven't put out anything, I don't think, since 2018.
No, it's not since the drummer left.
Yeah, which obviously... Oh, well, no, I take that back. There was that Reimagined album, right? That came out
That was
last
2019.
year. Okay. So then it's
Yeah.
the first in 2 years. Which...
Yeah, that was more of a mixture of a bunch of different genres, similar to the Normandy Reimagined album. So, this is a really good, return to form for their sound. And man, if they keep it going, I'm in for the ride.
Yep, you and me both. Are you in for the ride with Siamese after they drop their newest single, Rather Be Lonely?
You know I am. This song is like top 2 of the release singles.
Hell fucking yes, I am too. Siamese have leveled the fuck up in this album cycle. I don't know what the hell they did between Superhuman and this latest stretch of singles, but like, I am extremely excited for this album.
The album has a release date. A lot of singles we're talking about have release dates for albums. October 22nd. The title of the album is called Home.
As I said, Superhuman didn't really stick with me all that much, but from Home, which has grown on me over time, Can't Force the Love, which is as much of a banger as it always has been, arguably my favorite song of there. Enough Ain't Enough with Rory Rodriguez, another fantastic one. And this is shaping up to be an absolutely incredible album. This song is the essence of what Siamese is. If you have never heard Siamese before, listen to this song, and you're basically going to get what this band's sound is. And if you aren't hooked, I don't know how else I can hook you, because like I actually just don't know.
Like, you can go back and I said this about the last couple of singles we talked about, but this one in particular, you can go back and put this on their Shameless album, Superhuman. Like, this is a Siamese single in all aspects, and it sounds just as good as ever.
You know, this band is doing a good job on selling me. As time has gone on, like every time they drop the new single and they include the other older singles with it in that little release package, I go back and listen to it, and every time I like what I'm hearing more and more. Especially after I wasn't like super high on the band to begin with, and now I'm sitting in the position where it's like, okay, like I need this album. Like this I think maybe my second favorite single. I still think I like Home more.
Oh, I like Can't Force the Love.
That would be my third, and it's close.
Can't Force the Love, then this song, if you're asking me.
I'm glad we're all in agreement that Enough Ain't Enough is kind of weaker, and it's not just because Rory does really good on it, but it doesn't let Rory shine. And it's kind of more dance influenced. That song live is probably gonna be good.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Enough Ain't Enough is the weakest of the singles, just because everything else is simply better. That's just it, if you ask me. Like, I really cannot fault that song for anything. It's just that Siamese is leveled up and is releasing some insanely high quality post-hardcore music right now. Like, are we talking top 10 album of the year season? I don't know, maybe. Do you ask me going off of Superhuman, is Siamese going to be releasing a top 10 album for me? Hell no. Like, you release these 4 singles, you've got me convinced that it's pretty likely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's really hard in an album cycle to get 4 songs that all kind of sound very different with their own feels and different circumstances, I guess is the right word. And Siamese did really well with this. They have a song that has more heavier influences. They have a song that harkens back to their old sound. They have just a really good kind of dance sound that anyone will probably like. And then Can't Force the Love is probably the best of all they can really do. So I'm excited.
Let's move on then to our last single of the month. Derek, you want to spin this one?
Yes, sir. Little Lotus has a new single out entitled Romantic Disaster featuring Chrissy Costanza of Against the Current.
Telling you the same old story. We both know this is a romantic disaster. The nightmare comes.
A little background, I guess. Little Lotus is an emo rap artist who I've been listening to since 2016, 2017. He's also the lead vocalist for a post-hardcore band called If I Die First, which has other emo rap artists as musicians in the band, as well as members of oh god, what was that band? From First to Last, which was the metalcore band that Skrillex was in before he became Skrillex.
The amount of interconnected webs that you have just mentioned is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think actually Skrillex is back as the vocalist for From First to Last, so that's another interesting little tidbit that happened recently. All that to say that I forget sometimes that Little Lotus can sing instead of doing more of like the singy hip hop fusion that we get in a lot of his other material. And by God, if this song isn't fantastic, it's very kind of basic, more pop driven. Which is again like a lot of what Against the Current does too, infusing pop motifs into rock music. And when you have 2 artists with a lot of pop and melody sensibility put together, what you get is one short, almost Stand Atlantic Death Wish-esque type thing, where you're in, you're out. You've got the catchy verses, catchy pre-chorus, catchy chorus, fade out at the end. I really, really enjoy this. The replayability value on it is just insane. I am a very big fan of this style of Little Lotus. We don't get it very often. So to hear it done, and especially done this well, is a nice breath of fresh air. I would really like to see this take off on the radio. There's nothing that needs to be censored. It's got pop sensibility. It's quick. It's in. It's out. This is one of those things where I don't know if it will blow up, but I feel like it should, and I'm going to be mad that it doesn't. But the last time I felt that way about a song, it was Monsters by All Time Low, and it proceeded to go like top 10 on pop radio. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I've jinxed it in a way again. We can get both of these artists more exposure, but I really, really love this.
2 points. I think your point about Stand Atlantic, Death Wish, this song feels like that song's little sister in a way.
Yeah.
Point B, I want new Against the Current material. Having listened to this.
Exactly.
If I'm not getting a new Against the Current song, at least this will hold me over until I get it.
Mm-hmm.
This was a pleasant surprise for me when you sent it to me about a week ago at this point.
Yeah.
Solid song.
Saying it's its little sister, I guess it's the opposite, right? Like Stand Atlantic, like Death Wish, was you get the female fronted rock band featuring the emo rap artist, and then this is the emo rap artist featuring the female fronted rock band.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But no, very, very, very enjoyable song. One of my favorites of the year so far, and especially of the month too. As much of a pleasant surprise as it was for you, it was also for me, because this is not a crossover I would have ever expected, but I'll take it.
With that being said, we are done with the singles at record pace for the year of 2021, I think.
Thank God, finally.
Wow.
We deserve reprieve.
We do. But we ain't slowing down because we got a lot of EPs and albums to talk about. Let's get started first off with Bad Love and their brand new EP, Life Imitates Art.
Before you get into discussing about the album, I just want to say our playlist, we are at track number 25 to 32 of a 130 song playlist.
Yeah.
Yep,
There's
that's
a
fine.
lot of material we're going to kind of speed through. There's a lot of albums that we're going to kind of just touch. A couple of these EPs as well, maybe. How are we feeling about this EP?
Pleasant surprise.
Yep.
Not something that I have gone back to all too much on the whole.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing bad going on here. You put me onto this when it came out, and I saw that it had a crossfaith feature, and you instantly had me intrigued, because a crossfaith feature is not something that happens very often, if ever. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but it's not something, I mean, as I said, that I've seen very often. And considering that I really enjoyed crossfaith, seeing that feature was definitely cool, and I think it worked really well on Social Suicide. Definitely, probably my second favorite song on the EP. In saying that, my favorite song is by far Feel Good, coming in as the second to last track on this EP. That song, like, I was 10 seconds into the song and I was already convinced it was my favorite song on the EP, is how much I enjoy that song. That opening riff is so goddamn good. It's so catchy. The hand claps remind me of Low by Stateside, and if y'all remember, that EP was my second favorite EP of last year. So that kind of callback on Feel Good, I'm sure that they weren't like referencing each other or anything, but the fact that I enjoy that Stateside EP, which used the hand claps in a similar manner to Feel Good, probably makes sense why I enjoy the song so much. Lyricism definitely out there in a way, but I still love the song. It's groovy as fuck. Super replayable. Definitely my favorite song on the EP. Not to put the rest of it down, but it has been, when I go back to the handful of songs from this EP that are in my playlist, I almost single-handedly go back to Feel Good, because I look at them all in my playlist, and like, even if I start playing another one, I see Feel Good 2 songs beneath it, and I'm like, yeah, but that song though, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, overall pleasant surprise. Feel Good fucks. Actually, I have it in my notes that Feel Good fucks literally. Because of the lyrics.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you caught on to it, but one of the lyrics was, I forget where it is, but I have this written down. I need my time. I'll be the master. I want it now. Can you give it to me faster? I want it faster, but it won't last. But damn, it feels good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We getting horny on Maine here.
Yeah.
I'm going to echo you that Feel Good is probably one of the better songs of the album. I also really liked Come Clean. It just felt different enough from the album. It was not a single, like Feel Good, Follow the Leader, DMU, and Social Suicide were. And I feel like it's different enough to be very much enjoyable, even though it's almost 4 minutes long.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Come Clean is like the most melodic on the EP. Whereas like Social Suicide and DMU, I'm pretty sure definitely lean more into like metalcore in a way, if I remember. Follow the Leader as well. But as I said, most of my time with this EP was spent on Feel Good, so I don't remember the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I have to agree. Actually, Come Clean and Feel Good are my 2 favorites off the album, so I'm glad we're all in concurrence there in some way, shape, or form. Or I guess off the EP. It feels weird. Haven't had an 8-song EP in a while, I feel like. You know,
I
like,
mean, it's. Is this actually 8?
yeah, isn't it?
Yeah,
was
it
it
is
before?
8. I mean, you have 2 interludes, kinda.
I
but-
guess.
Yeah, 2 interludes.
I'll have to say this was a band that Justin introduced me to when they were going through the single cycle, for the EP, and you know, I liked it more than I was anticipating, and I guess that's because I didn't really have very many expectations going into it. But overall, I was very pleasantly surprised by what I heard. Definitely, at least something I want to revisit come the end of the year. It's not going to take the top EP spot, for reasons we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But just overall, something I really enjoy and something I want to keep going back to, at least if not as a whole, then for individual songs.
I don't know if there's too much more to say.
Not
So
really.
if we want to make this couple of minutes, about 1 minute, Derek, take the wheel. It's yours.
Oh, I don't think this
Boy.
is the one, is it?
This is the one. Hello.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Oh, the fuck else we got? Oh, no. This, let me introduce y'all to the best EP I have ever heard in my fucking life. Convictions have put out a new EP entitled I Won't Survive.
I'm sorry, I won't be there for your first steps when you're falling into your world. Tell me I'm standing tall.
So as far as I'm aware, the 3 of us won't have to say anything because you will be able to say everything
not it.
and more.
This is not
What?
true.
Wait, hold on. I went back to this, and I'm
Oh,
higher on it than I was. I still need a little bit more time with it. I'm getting used to the uncleans, but I'm smoking what Derek's smoking.
I'll take it.
Oh.
Jacob?
So imagine this. This is like Kublai Khan,
Uh-huh.
Alpha Wolf, and
Uh-huh.
Old Wage Whore had a baby.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. God bless. How are you feeling any differently on it now than you were when I forced everybody to listen to it?
My opinion has not changed that much, but yeah, it really hasn't changed much. But the 2 songs that I thought were all right are still all right.
Okay. You know what? I'll take it. It's better than nothing. Okay. I have a signed poster from this band in my room that I got before I even got into the band, and now I feel very justified in having it. I mentioned last year that my number 1 EP, the Hands Like Houses EP, was my favorite EP I had ever heard. I would take, just so you understand where I'm coming from, I would take this EP 11 times out of 10 over that Hands Like Houses EP. This is art. I think that's the best way that I can put it. There is a lot of depth to this album in so many ways. Instrumentally, I mean, it's just insane. It's just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, and they all manage to hit as hard as the previous breakdown, if not harder. Which, like, you're coming out of the gate with one of the hardest breakdowns I've heard all year, and it just keeps getting better and better. I think that there's a not necessarily like an even balance between the cleans and the uncleans, but it strikes for me a perfect balance between them, especially for like what the EP is trying to convey. And then like that, it's not even counting the motifs. I mean, like The War That Followed Me Home is about like soldiers coming home from war and experiencing PTSD, and having to relive like the death and horror that they went through overseas, night after night.
Panic Room by Silent Planet.
Yeah. Very, a lot of the lyricism here very similar. Maybe not as
In depth.
open a thesaurus type lyricism as Island Planet. And then, the price of grace being about, so that one actually a personal story, to the best of my understanding, from the lead singer, one of the lead singers, whose brother committed suicide. Right before the last breakdown, you have the last voicemail that he left to him, asking why he did it and like how he wishes he could have him back and how he can't go home because his brother is gone now. It put as the best like pre-breakdown I have heard in a long time. I mean, it just hits so hard. And then you get something like Last Cell. I'm gonna read you some lyrics real quick. To my daughter I'll leave behind. I can't stop what's metastasized. You're the light in my decline. You're the one thing I've done right. All my days have become numbered and I've become numb to it. I'm sorry I won't be there for your first steps when you're falling till you walk down the aisle sitting in a tall white dress. You were my reason to fight. About, again, to the best of my understanding, a man who's lived a very hard life and is now dying from cancer as his like infant daughter has just been born, and he's like reminiscing on all the things he could have done better in his life to get him out of the situation, because now he'll never be able to like be there for her when she grows up. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like I came here to headbang and now I'm in my feels, right? Like and there's a great bit on the ending there where it's like, think of me and close your eyes, repeated over and over again. It just, the delivery on that and across the entire album. And then you just have rippers like Teeth, which is basically just an Alpha Wolf song with some of the nastiest. Yeah, it's got some of the nastiest bass I've heard in a long time at the end. It just kind of isolated with drums, and it's vile. This album is basically like one big stank face, but you're also like crying while you've got the stank face going. It's something that you hear and appreciate, and you don't want people to walk in on you because they look at the expressions you're making and be like, "What the fuck? Are you okay? Like, do I need to call a ambulance or something like that?" You know? I don't know. It's just this to me.
I didn't dive into the lyrics, so
it's
I'm
crazy.
I'm glad you shared it.
There's a lot, and then you get something like Everything I Never Told You, which is this like guitar violin driven like interlude of sorts that just fits perfectly between Hurricane and Right Before to set up for that contextualization of the lyrics in Last Cell. For me, I think the thing that sets this apart for me the most, because I could talk about this for ages, but I don't want to keep everybody too long. I think for me, when I hear an EP, I am rarely left feeling like it is a cohesive unit, right? Or not necessarily it's cohesive, but it's like, I am happy with this EP. I don't want anything more. When I hear an EP, oftentimes I'm like, okay, I'm glad I got an EP from this band I like. I wish it would have been an album, or I wish I could have had more. For me, I feel like this 7-song package is as perfect as it could be. And as much as I now love this band, I don't want this to be anything more or anything less than it is. Like, I think that it can stand alone. I wouldn't want this to be another 3 songs made into an album, because I think that the 7 songs that they've managed to put here work so well together to deliver one cohesive package that to do anything more to it would almost be a disservice. If that makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong, I want more Convictions now, but like, I am beyond happy with what I have here, and I feel like that's what really sets this EP apart from really any other I've ever heard. I think it's perfect.
The more that you're talking about this EP, the more that you're reminding me of how I felt when I first heard Foxblood, the 2019 album Grief and Mercy Suite. When I first heard those opening 5 tracks and how well they flowed into each other, like, if you took those opening 5 tracks and that was just an EP, that would arguably be like a top 3 EP of all time for me. I mean, it made my top 10 albums of the year as like number 9, number 8, something like that. But if you just take those opening 4 songs, they are so incredible that's the closest that I think I can feel to how you felt about this EP here with Convictions.
Yeah, I am so far. And like this talk about coming out of left field. I had listened to Convictions before. I'd heard The Price of Grace when it came out, and like I'd heard Hurricane when it came out. And I was like not at all sold on it. I was like, okay, this is okay. Like, I don't ever feel the need to revisit it. And then I heard it all together, and it just kind of like blew my mind, you know. And I haven't turned back since. I love this more and more every time I listen to it. If I could count this, like if we weren't doing like top EPs, top albums, whatever at the end of the year, and I could just count this as like top music of the year, you know, sort of thing, I have no doubt that this would be my like AOTY equivalent, because this I love more than anything really I've else I've heard this year, which says a lot because I've had a lot this year that I've loved. But anyway, all that to say, this is my official stamp of endorsement for Convictions. Please go listen to this band because they are not signed. They do everything by themselves, merch, shipping, all of that, release. So any and all love for this band is much deserved and much appreciated. But
my final 2 cents that I want to add, the 2 songs that stuck with me more than anything else were Wreckage and Last Cell. Wreckage instrumentally felt like the one that I was able to... There were a lot of really cool moments instrumentally in Wreckage, like that opening riff or whatever.
mm-hmm.
Whereas Last Cell, I think vocally was where I was able to enjoy it the most.
Yeah.
The Unqueens are the thing that was putting me off from enjoying this as much as I wanted to. Queen's vocalist that was doing all the choruses, fantastic on every single song. I had no complaints there. The Unqueens really just put me off for the most part. And Last Cell had the most moments where the Unqueens didn't put me off. Even
We'll take it.
Like I still didn't love all of them, but there were like a couple of lines in the verses and stuff where I was like, okay, that's cool. I enjoy that. But overall, not enough to get me to want to go back to it consistently.
Yeah, definitely some metalcore.
Metalcore ass metalcore.
Yeah, exactly. If that's not your thing, then maybe not the EP for you. But if you enjoy metalcore ass metalcore, yeah, this is far and away some of the best I've ever heard.
Justin, Jacob, any last thoughts here?
Nah, Derek's pretty much said everything that I could ever say. I will just note that bands like Convictions are something that it's going to take time for me to get into.
Yeah.
Especially with how much they lean into the uncleans. But I will say a lot of their chorus work is really good. So I'm on board.
Let's move on then. Justin, this next one's been a band you've been very excited to talk about for a while.
Yes. Softspoken have released an EP called Where the Heart Belongs. This EP has actually been available for a couple months if you bought it digitally. It was only released on streaming services on May the 14th, so that's why we're counting it here instead of talking about the other singles. As a whole, I feel like this EP is a really good culmination of a lot of their different sounds. I feel like there's a lot of different sounds, although I will argue that one or two of them kind of blend together. But as a whole, I really enjoyed this EP. Specifically, Bones and The Road are my 2 favorite songs from this band has ever made. The Road, lyrically, is amazing. You go back, watch the music video, listen to the lyrics, you get a better understanding of that song and just how well written it is. Specifically with the lyrics of the chorus. I'll get to those in just a second. But Bones has probably been my favorite song that this band has made. Mostly because of the latter half of the song, where it goes into the breakdown. Humble your bones, break them to strengthen, and then repeats that again, and then leads into the final chorus. I think that's the moment that kind of sold the song on me. And then with the road is much more emotional, which I dig with, and one of the reasons why I kind of fell in love with this band. A lot of their old stuff I really didn't get into, I'll be honest, but this EP in general I really enjoyed. The lyrics for The Road, amazing. The chorus into we carry the fire, but my legs are weak, my body is tired, how can I save my love? They do quite a bit of blending with that, and the cleans mixed in the uncleans. I feel like this EP is really good.
I think I've mentioned it before, but this band falls into the same hole of Mosaic and Visionary, which we talked about earlier in this episode, where it's solid, but there's nothing that's super memorable bringing me back to it. The closest thing that it was bringing me back was Bones, Definitely my favorite song off of the EP. I really enjoyed the chorus. It has a nice groove to it. But overall, there's something missing here that's not clicking with me, and I don't know what it is. Because this band has basically every element that I typically like in this type of sound. But something's not clicking for me to make me want to go back to it super consistently. Regardless of that, like, I definitely recommend giving this a shout, giving this a listen. Because there's potential here, for sure. So...
The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, we're just moving on, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I
pod,
presume
so-
Derek didn't have anything.
So, The Devil Wears Prada have released their new EP called ZII.
What the fuck? Man.
Derek is thrown.
That feels like I feel like you just committed a sin. Something about that don't sit right with me. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Jacob definitely had that planned for at least a week.
Oh, I did. I definitely did. Oh my
I
god. I thought about it and it would be like, this would be hilarious to do last week.
I respect it.
But yeah, Devil Wears Prada have released Zombie EP2. And I have a new soundtrack for when I play Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, exactly right.
Or Doom? Question mark.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, because what they said that they listened to a lot of Doom when writing.
Yeah,
Right.
in the AMA on Reddit they said that. Yeah, Forlorn literally sounds like the story of it literally sounds like a Doom track.
Yeah. So you've heard the Zombie EP, right?
Of course.
Is this a good fitting follow up to the Zombie EP, and B, is it better than the Zombie EP?
So, A, it is a brilliant follow up.
Okay, I'm with you.
B, as a whole, I think it's better.
Okay.
But I think there are standout tracks on the original that I like better.
Okay, I see.
So what you're saying is the collective piece of the original Zombie EP is, or no, the collective piece of Zombie 2 is better, but there are standout songs on the first one.
Yes.
Got it. I haven't
I'm
listened to
going
the
to-
original Zombie EP, so I wouldn't know.
I have a very interesting relationship with this band because they are like legendary scene status at this point, and the Zombie EP is like ridiculous.
A tier above that even.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And it pains me to say it, but I don't like the Zombie EP. And I will go further to say that this band may not be for me, no matter how many times I try to get into them. Like, The Act, I think, was the closest, besides that cover of Sour Breath that they put out, that I've been to liking the band. And I think it comes down to the Uncleans. That, like, his style and delivery, for whatever reason, when they're
it's
just
very,
like...
very raw.
Yeah.
It's like that live too.
It's very
it's-
unique.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know anybody else really doing it, or especially as raw as he does, but for whatever reason, it has yet to click with me. It clicked with me in the Sour Breath cover because it felt like it needed to. If it's just like if it's something where it needs to be like emotional, then I think it fits.
I want to
perfectly.
compare it to someone kinda. I would say Garrett from Silent Planet. It's
Yeah,
the closest you'll get.
and you know what? I'm in the same boat with Silent Planet too, where I've heard a lot of their discography because I've gone back and I want to find something that I love, and for whatever reason, it's not clicking with me. And it makes me very upset because if it was just like a smaller band that like I couldn't get into, like whatever, but it's the Devil Wears Prada. And it's like I see everybody talking about how much they love this EP and just the band as a whole. And I want so desperately to get into it, and I haven't been able to as much as I'd like. But with that said, I really did enjoy this EP. I thought it was good. Like really, really good. This is probably my favorite piece of music that the Devil Wears Prada has put out so far. Besides maybe
Really?
The Act. Yeah.
I think I like The Act a little bit better.
For me, Nora, Contagion, and Nightfall really carry it and give it that status for me. I don't really care much for Forlorn or Termination. But like the end of Nightfall, Nora overall, just like as a like sonically and the way that song is structured, I really enjoy it. And then Contagion is probably the closest I've been to really enjoying, like really truly enjoying a original Devil Wears Prada song. And then they all my comments about the vocals aside, the instrumentation on this is incredible. Like I love the instrumentation on this EP. I think that's really where they shine for me.
Yeah, also I think this band, it almost like I almost relate it's like I know it's about zombies, right? But you almost relate it to the pandemic sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I need to pull up some lyrics here. Give me a second.
They've definitely got a theme across
Yeah.
which you know, I didn't necessarily catch the first time I listened to the Zombie EP. So going into this, I didn't really know what to expect as much, but they were really like going for the zombie motif here, and I was like, oh, nice. I'm always a fan when bands do that. Not necessarily like just talking about zombies, but when they've got like a constant motif throughout all their throughout the entirety of an EP.
I got lyrics here now.
Hit me with it.
In Forlorn, I think it's the chorus. It's hopeless now, this tragedy, exhausted of necessities. We're forced to flee without escape. Complete retreat since the outbreak.
Yeah, and I guess now that you mentioned that, I hadn't thought about it in the lens of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Like when I heard it, but now that, especially Outbreak, now that you've said that,
yeah.
you know, outside of getting out of that zombie mindset and going into yeah, no, I can see it.
Some words are just not the same since the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody hits me with distancing, and I'm like,
But-
"Ooh."
I had to criticize this band right now. This
Okay.
band released the two worst songs on this
Yep.
EP as singles.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll take it. Termination at least.
Termination is definitely the worst. And
Yeah,
then
I know.
Nightfall is decent, but
Yeah,
it's still the second worst on the EP. Yeah, so I was not that hyped. Like I thought when it came out, I was like, "Oh, this came out today." I thought it was coming out next week. So it's like, because I wasn't hyped for it at all, to be honest, because of the singles weren't that impressive to me. But then when I heard it, it was like, wow.
yeah. Well, see, you say that, and I'm almost wondering if like it would have been better, because by releasing the two like we'll call them worst tracks off the EP as singles, you then get the full EP, and you're more like excited for what you're hearing. If we'd have gotten something like Contagion and Forlorn as the two singles, and then 2 out of the 3 singles we had yet to hear were Termination and
Yeah,
Nightfall, I feel
I
like it would
guess.
almost dampen the experience. You know, like retroactively, looking back at it. But I don't know. I want to recommend this to fans of heavy music, even though it's not my thing, because I know that it's just not my thing for personal reasons, rather than anything that I can like actively put against the band. Like outside of maybe some aspects of Termination, I don't really think that there's anything not to love here. Like objectively, it's just my own subjective taste and enjoyment getting in the way.
Yeah, Upset the Sickness.
Upset
I'll
the
have to say.
Sickness. Yep. God bless Contagion. Contagion, the best track off the album for sure.
EP.
Or EP. My bad.
I don't have too much more to add to this. Like I didn't give the full EP a listen, but I gave Forlorn and Contagion. Like I at least skimmed through them to like get an idea of what it sounded like. I'm still not really sold on anything. Unqueens just don't work for me. Shrug. That's kind of all I have to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate that this would be too far up your alley.
Have you listened to oh god, what's that song called? On Chemical from their last album, Jake.
Maybe there was definitely one song from the act that
I feel like
listened
that's
to.
probably what it was.
It might have been Chemical, it might have been something else. Either way, it didn't.
I feel like
stick with
you
me.
would like that.
Well, a valiant
Anyways,
effort.
shall
Jake,
we move on?
yeah, I was gonna say, Jake, if Zombie 2 wasn't up your alley, how are you feeling about this new EP from Of Mice and Men entitled Bloom.
So the first EP was called Timeless, not Obsolete, which I mistakenly called the Obsolete EP last month.
It's okay. We forgive you.
I'm not making that mistake this time, because if I was, I'd be calling this the Pulling Teeth EP. Pulling Teeth is the best song on this EP, hands down, no questions. Song fucks.
No.
Well, maybe. I'll give you a maybe.
Yeah, Levy and Bloom are both solid, but Pulling Teeth is a whole other level. Of Mice and Men are, with the 2 EPs now, they have consistently hit 1 out of 3 absolute bangers and 2 out of 3 solid songs for me. Pulling Teeth and Obsolete being the bangers. Pulling Teeth, the chorus definitely sticking with me more so than Levy and Bloom. But I think really what sells Pulling Teeth, it has to be the breakdown at the end, right? It has to be. That
which
breakdown.
one of like 3 that get progressively tuned lower and lower and lower?
When I first heard that breakdown, but especially when it got to piece by piece by piece and it goes again, that single part of piece by piece by piece is my favorite part of the entire song. Just the vocal delivery on that is sick as fuck. I mean, the entire breakdown is sick as fuck, but overall, just slowing it down and like saying like word by word, like single syllable words on the beat of the drum in the breakdown worked so well. It works better that, like, 'cause it follows that up with like slowly pulling teeth. That doesn't work nearly as well for me compared to piece by piece by piece. There's a level of energy to single syllable words on the drum beat that cannot be matched, if you ask me. And it stole the show. Levy, I feel like, suffers from not being Pulling Teeth and also being a little bit long. And Bloom,
I need to disagree right there.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you off. Levy is perfect length, and I'll tell you why. It sets the atmosphere for the entire thing, and even the rain the rain sound effect continues throughout the whole thing, and it's the atmosphere that Levy brings, and it adds to like the whole, like the rain just stays through the whole thing. It's so.
That's the one thing I was hoping. I mean, I knew it was gonna get brought up because it's undeniable, but the transition from song to song to song is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob, I'm gonna assume that Levy is your favorite song.
Yes.
Right? Okay, it's mine as well. Justin, Jacob, Jake mentioned that consistently they were putting 1 fantastic song and 2 great songs. How would you feel if I raised him 6 fantastic songs? Would that be a statement that we could get behind?
Maybe
Cross
pushing it a
both.
I'm gonna give you
little
5.
bit, but
I'm gonna give you 5.
I'm
Okay,
also
you're gonna
gonna
give me
give
5. Damn. Okay. Well, now I'm intrigued. What was the one that you guys aren't as strong about?
Timeless.
Timeless.
Oh.
Damn. We're in sync,
You know
Jacob.
what? You know what? For being in sync alone, I'll take it. So if that's the case, then we're all high on all 3 songs on this EP, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
This
fantastic.
EP is miles above the other one. Well, I don't know about miles. It's still good. The other one's still good. I'm kind of, but this one is far better.
I'm not gonna give it my full credentials. I will say it's good. I just need more time with it. That's really it. I'm not hating what I'm listening to, and that's a good sign. It's just I need more time with it for it to all sink in.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with the Timeless EP, just listening to it on loop. For me, this has like less overall, which is weird because it's more cohesive, like down to just the way each song flows into each other. This has less overall replayability for me than the first EP, But outside of Anchor, I think I enjoy all three of these songs more. It's weird. I think maybe I just need to, like you said, spend more time with it, which is a weird thing to say for an EP that I already like. Love. I mean, like, look, we already know Convictions is my number one EP of the year. Like, that is what it is. But so far, number 2 and number 3 are both held by Of Mice and Men, and I've heard like 50 EPs at this point. So it's like they're doing something right.
Have you? Because I haven't done this. I was just gonna ask. Have
Mhm.
you played both EPs back to back yet?
No, because I don't know if that's the order they're going to be in the album. I'm wondering if they might be. The end of Anchor could work with Levy. I haven't tried it. But I was just wondering, I didn't know if they take, because obviously it's kind of culminate in an album at the end, so I didn't know if they take the EPs and just do Timeless, Bloom, the other one, and then the last couple of tracks.
Well, I feel
all
like these
together
3
in
tracks
order,
have
or-
to be together.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm cautious to put them in an order and get used to
Mhm.
it, and then hear the album be like, "What the fuck? Levy's not after Anchor. This is wrong," and like go file a complaint with Aaron Pauli or whatever. Speaking of Aaron Pauli at his best, across both EPs, and honestly, the MVP of all this for me is the drummer. His name escapes me, and it shouldn't. But the drums, I feel like across both EPs have been for me the highlight. With the rest of the band coming in just as clutch. I mean, Of Mice and Men, like I mentioned, for me, they're 6 for 6 at this point. Another one of those albums where before the start of this year, based on Earth and Sky, I wouldn't have expected it to land anywhere near my top 10. Now I'm hearing these songs and I'm like, shit. Like I'm already dreading the end of year between this and something like Spirit Box, Conquer Divide we mentioned earlier, and what I've already got trying to determine my album of the year. I mean, it's going to be a massive pain in the ass, but nope, I am very pleased with this. I do also like this style of dropping the EPs like this, I will say. For me, like with Too Close to Touch, which I guess is the only comparable thing that I have for it, I didn't like it as much because, I mean, I'm glad to be getting 3 new like Too Close to Touch songs at any given point, but they don't feel quite as cohesive together. Whereas with these EPs, it feels like all the songs fit together in their own respective EPs. So I'm not as upset about getting a album where I've heard most of the songs by the time all this is said and done, because those EP releases all work by themselves, like as a package. If that makes sense, like I don't know. I wouldn't have liked this the way they're going about this on paper, but Bloom and Timeless, and especially Bloom, have proven that it can work.
I also prefer releasing 1 single as opposed to 2.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I liked being able to hear Levy and Pulling Teeth as new tracks on this, as opposed to the last one, which I believe we got both Timeless and Obsolete, right?
Yep, I also agree with that.
I will say, I'm wondering, like, and this is like, I guess a little bit of a tangent, but like, if with that first one, they were determining like they needed to build more hype for this type of release, and that's why they released the 2 singles,
Possibly.
as opposed to this one. I don't know, just conjecture. But I'll have to say that this is a really good EP, and Of Mice and Men are just doing great things. Very, very happy with this, with the band as a whole.
Shall we move on then?
Yes, sir. We get to return to a band that we talked about a little earlier in the singles. Outsider Heart have put out an EP entitled Pandemic B-Sides.
I don't really know whether to call this an actual EP or just a collection of singles, to be honest. But it felt like the EPs was the best place to talk about it, so here we are.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go out and say that I mentioned that I Don't Know You, which we talked about earlier, was second favorite. Did I say it was my second favorite song of theirs? I don't remember. If I did, I was wrong, because Don't Let Me Walk Away is my second favorite song of theirs. And I think if they can consider that song as a B-side, as presumably something less than everything else they have been putting out,
Right.
that is impressive. And that is noteworthy of the amount of talent this band has to offer. Not to discredit Don't Get Too Close or Coming Down, but Don't Let Me Walk Away is definitely the standout for me here.
I agree.
super catchy. Just, I mean, it's everything that you've gotten from this band in previous songs, just done to the next level up, basically.
Yeah, I think "Don't Let Me Walk Away" is really, and full disclosure, I like all three songs here. But "Don't Let Me Walk Away" for me is the one that I would take over. And I Don't Know You. Like you mentioned, it's by far the best song out of these. Yeah, I don't know, maybe the timing bothers me a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, of these getting released and then the other single,
yeah.
like I don't know.
You're not giving I don't know you enough time to breathe almost. At the same time, I know
Yeah.
they did just announce a live stream show, so maybe they wanted to get this material out there before the live stream, just so people know it. I don't know.
Right. Well, well, I was gonna say maybe it's a label thing, but the label, they aren't on a label, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, just good vibey music.
Yep,
I think would be a way to
vibey
put it.
music is a great way to describe this band as a whole. I don't know if there's too much more to add, to be honest. Just solid set of 3 songs right here.
For sure.
That brings us to our albums, and we've got a handful of albums to talk about. Starting with Zayde Wolf finally dropping his brand new album, Neon Blood Type.
Up here among the stars. It's all part of the plan. World in my hands. Talking about a legend. I'm El Capitan. Stand up for me.
Now, before I go on to my spiel about this one, I want to know, Justin or Derek, if you guys have any quick thoughts on this.
Justin,
listen to
how
the-
about your thoughts first?
Yeah, I listened to this twice through. Couldn't get into it. There were a couple of standouts. Let's Go, Brand New Thing. Pretty much all singles. Everything else I really just wasn't vibing with. You could say it's not a vibe.
No. In contrast to Outsider Heart, yeah.
No. In contrast to the track, it's a vibe.
Oh, yo, my bad.
Yeah.
Both contexts work.
So I real quick, I mentioned earlier that oh god, I'm blanking. Club Danger was doing a decent job of at least getting me intrigued into the alt rock, stadium rock side of things that I'm normally not as much as into, as well as one other artist. I did not get a chance to listen to this whole album, but I did listen to about like the first half. And I will say that as much as I haven't been able to get into Zayde Wolf in the past, I think that, at least for me personally, there's a decent amount to like here. And it's a lot. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I would have anticipated enjoying it, given my history with this type of, or this side of the genre. So kudos to Zayde Wolf for making me at least somewhat enjoy stadium rock, alt rock. I gotta give credit where credit's due, but I don't have too much else.
With that out of the way, this is similar to Beartooth, where it's a band that I will never admit is one of my favorites, but I also don't think I'll be surprised if this ends up sneaking into my top 10 albums at the end of the year.
Mm.
And I say that in the way of sneaking in, literally. I don't think like I don't think I could process it in my head and be like, this is a top 10 album of the year. I think it'll fall into place, if anything. Similar to what you said, like there's nothing bad going on here at all. A lot of it does sound the same, and I think that's probably its biggest weakness. But if you're someone like me that enjoys that sound consistently, then, as I said, it's shaping up to maybe sneak into the top 10 at the end of the year. What I was really looking forward to with this album, since a lot of the singles, and there were a lot of singles for this album, a lot of them did sound very similar. I was hoping to get a little bit more variation in some of the new tracks here, and I did end up getting that with tracks like Is a Vibe and Never Fade, where Is a Vibe almost leans more into hip-hop rap in a way, and Never Fade is more of just like, it's one of those songs that like you're running through a field of flowers kind of mood. It's not super stadium alt rock-esque. And I think that variation worked pretty well. I thought The Reason was a fantastic track to open the album on, and considering that a lot of it does sound very similar, to be able to stand out is like, that makes sense as an opener, I think is worth noting. Other than that, it's just the generic stadium alt rock that we've talked about with the handful of singles in previous months. Some of my favorite songs on this album, similar to Justin, Let's Go, arguably being my favorite on the album. I also really enjoyed Madness and El Capitan. Particularly the vocal delivery in the chorus of El Capitan I thought was really sick. As one of my favorite moments on the album. And then some of the other singles that we didn't get to talk about because they were released before we even started this podcast, like
Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble and Still Fighting For It, I believe. Still Fighting For It being the closer, which I don't think... It didn't work in the same way that The Reason did as an opener, but I still think it's fine. And Rumble is another just classic stadium rock song. Like, I feel like that is the most like iconic stadium rock song that this album has to offer. Outside of that, I don't know if I have too much more to say. I think anything that could be said about this album is already been said. It's one of those albums that if you're into the sound, you'll enjoy it. If not, you probably aren't gonna be surprised by anything. It's something that it's like they say not to read a book by its cover, but in this case, I almost feel like you can read the book by its cover and get the general gist of it, and that's fine. But yeah, that's about it.
As a point of contention before we transition to the next album, as someone who kind of looks for a lot of variants in the albums they listen to, Jake, how do you kind of deal with an album that kind of all sounds the same bar one or two tracks?
I think I've always generally been a person that's okay with something sound the same if I really enjoy it.
Okay.
That's the best explanation I can give.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, that's just, general.
If it's good music, it's good music.
Yeah, that's really it.
Let's move on then. Skarlett Riot dropped their brand new album Invicta. So between Zayde Wolf, Skarlett Riot, and the album we're going to be talking to after this, I like to group these three together as my 2018 throwback, because these were all three bands that I was really back into when I was first kind of exploring the genre, and I think that really encapsulates Skarlett Riot for me as an introductory band, as someone that's getting into post-hardcore, harsher vocals. I think Skarlett Riot is a good band to introduce you to that, because they have some fantastic instrumentation throughout the album, but vocally I do think it's something that works as an introduction, but as you find more bands and dig deeper into the scene, it starts to fall off. Whereas when I first found this band in 2017, I really enjoyed their album Regenerate. Now at this point, 3-4 years later, I have kind of grown out of it, but I am still able to enjoy it. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for anymore. Before I go into any more specific details, Derek, I know you were listening to a couple of the songs before we started this.
I'm gonna echo your sentiments because I think I really liked the clean vocals. I think the clean vocals are good, I should say, but I didn't feel like they had a lot of variation. And the uncleans left a little something to be desired for me. This felt like, in sort of the same way that I feel about a lot of the older scene albums or bands, where it's like, if I had heard this as it was coming out, or in my introduction to, like, this side of music, I would enjoy it a lot more. But I've heard now that sound done differently and arguably better by a lot of other bands, so I'm left with this feeling like, okay, I'm glad I heard it. I didn't necessarily dislike anything I heard, but it doesn't feel like I'm getting anything like unique or new with this. Which leaves not necessarily a bad taste, but I'm just kind of like, by the time all is said and done, even if I liked what I was hearing,
Yep. So with all that being said, I'm just going to talk about a couple of my favorite songs on this album before we move on. The two songs that really stuck out to me outside of the singles were Black Cloud and To the Flames. Black Cloud had solid instrumentation, pretty good chorus. Just overall, one of the better songs on this album. But I think really the standout is To the Flames for me. The opening riff that you get in that song is one of my favorite pieces of the album. And then I think you also get arguably my second favorite chorus on the album in that song as well. The last moment that I thought kind of surprised me was that Underwater transitioned really well into Stronger, which was something that I wasn't expecting to get out of this band, where I was trying to just expecting a bunch of songs to just one song to the next, to the next, to the next. But Underwater had like a smooth transition into Stronger, and that was something that I appreciated, something I wasn't expecting. Overall, I enjoyed the album more than I expected to, given that I've kind of grown out of it, grown out of the band in a way.
Right.
I definitely think there is a lot of good to offer. Like, their Spotify numbers are bigger than they've ever been, so obviously they're doing something right. They're hitting a new audience that's working for them. But I think for me, and I think us as a whole, it's not exactly what we're looking for at this point, and that's okay.
Right.
So I don't think the last point that I have to make actually is so I mentioned that Underwater into Stronger has a fantastic transition. Stronger has like a 20-second distorted guitar fade out, and it is disgusting. That, like, if I had to pick a least favorite moment on the album, it is that. It's not fun to listen to. It's just bad. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
Actually, one last thing. Human being the first song that we got as a single for this album, being the closer, is an interesting choice. Not something I would have expected. Human also being probably my favorite single and one of my favorite tracks on this record as well. Has a solid chorus, and I also think the breakdown of that song is one of the more memorable pieces off of this album. But with that, I think I've covered just about anything I could about Skarlett Riot and their new album Invicta. So let's switch gears and talk about Diamante? I don't know. I'm always very confused on how you pronounce it. They dropped a new album called American Dream.
If I could, I'd go and unfuck you, yeah. I like to pretend you'll be nothing, yeah. Come on,
This closes out my 2018 flashback, throwback trifecta, being a band that I got into back in 2018 and now dropping their second album. I didn't have too high expectations, and I'm not coming out with anything that I am wowed by. But I do think of the songs that were new, I believe half of this album was singles, which, given that like it had been a while since the last one dropped, I had kind of forgotten about some of them. But I mean, similar to Skarlett Riot, this album was better than I was expecting. Like, it wasn't a total disappointment from top to bottom. I think the two standouts for me are American Dream being the opener and Unfuck You. As much as I hate to say it, Unfuck You is my favorite song on this album. I was expecting kind of generic pop rock in a way, like hard rock with female vocals throughout most of this album. Unfuck You gets heavier than anything else on this album for whatever reason, and it's sick. Like, I was vibing along to that song on my first listen. Unlike anything else on this album. That was a very pleasant surprise to me, and definitely the song that I went back to the most here. And I thought some of the singles like Ghost Myself and Serves You Right, I believe, were both as solid as they were when they were released as singles last year. But otherwise, I don't think there's too much, like, there isn't a ton of depth that I was able to pick up on. The ballads on this album being Unlovable and Hopeless didn't really do too much for me either. I thought it was a bit of a shame that you throw Iris and Hopeless as the closing two tracks, because they both kind of serve that ballad purpose and thus nullify each other almost, making the closing way less impactful than it would have been otherwise if you either remove Iris from the album or you remove Hopeless from the album, and I think I enjoy it more, in all honesty. Doesn't matter which one, but yeah, I think the last point that I want to make here is that American Dream has some cool lyricism referencing like East Coast soul but West Coast like it's basically, I don't know, it's just a cool lyricism about like different areas of the USA coming into like the American Dream. I thought it was kind of neat. It's a little corny, but it worked for me. That's about all I have to say about this album, though. Better than expected, but still not something I'm going to be actively revisiting all too much. Anything else?
I would have to agree wholeheartedly. No, I think my favorite personally was just oh god, what was that song? I'm losing it. It was Wake Up Call for me. That really like I enjoyed it quite a decent bit. I just want to I think it's neat that she's. I mean, I was introduced to her through that Bad Wolves feature. And I think I don't know how much she had established prior, but it's neat to see that she's kind of come far since that feature. And overall, just, yeah, I don't know how I feel about like the covers, or at least a couple of the covers or something that draws parallels to covers kind of ending the latter half of that album. Iris, and then I Love Myself for Hating You, which is a direct play off of a song from the 80s. But I mean, overall, I didn't have any expectations from this because I haven't loved a lot of what I've heard recently, and so I was kind of pleasantly surprised by the time all was said and done, which is always a a good thing to have happen.
Yep. So with all that being said, I think that wraps up the 2018 throwback that I have forced into this episode. Let's get into the good shit now. We got Galleons dropping their self-titled album.
I'm sorry, did I hear good shit?
Yeah.
Good. Because this is my favorite album of this month.
I won't go that far, but I was definitely. I said
mean,
I
you're
was
not
pleasantly.
me, so that's one
yeah,
thing.
I've said I was pleasantly surprised with the past two albums. I was also very pleasantly surprised in this one in a very different way because I have gone back to a handful of these songs significantly more.
I'm gonna hold back and we'll let everyone else speak.
Yeah, I wasn't very high on the singles, and then when I heard the album as a whole, I was like, wow, this is a lot better. I'm gonna say that again in another album we talk about.
Yep.
But yeah, this is great. Also, I didn't know they were like, the band is like part in Australia and partly in what's the other country? Russia.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This band is like all virtual as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so is Valiant Hearts. Everything Tom Byrne has done is all virtual.
That's interesting to me.
Derek, what'd you think of the album?
I really, really enjoyed it, more so than I thought I was going to based on the strength of the singles, like Jacob said. I think that my favorite tracks are the non-singles.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
You know, Werewolf, I Travel East as Feeble Goes West Part 3, Youngblood, and then That Ain't No Crown. I Travel East is actually my favorite song off this album. It's the one. Look, this dude Tom sounds like Johnny Craig. I'm just putting it out there. He does. Like the comparison. It's not even like a comparison at this point. It's like, damn, we lost Johnny Craig, but we gained Johnny Craig. Like, especially like the way he does the vocal runs and the delivery on I Travel East. It's very reminiscent of like Relativity or no, I had it right the first time. Relativity. And self-titled era Emarosa. Like this whole album for me feels like a really strong callback to that era of just post-hardcore in general, like that 2008 to 2011 era. I obviously wasn't into that style of music when it came out, but those first two Emarosa albums did a lot for me senior year of high school and like helping me get through it. And so to have an album that's kind of acting like a callback to it was really neat to listen to, especially because it's so not coincident, similar, in a lot of ways. I think if I had to give a criticism to the album, which I will put as my closing thought before I let you go wild, is that it, as much as it sounds a lot like that era of post-hardcore, it's almost too much of a good thing, I guess, to be a way to put it, like, at points. Like, I hear certain songs, and I'm like, okay, this is good, like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I've heard this already, like in bits and pieces on other parts of the album, at enough of a rate where I'm like, maybe I'm not as high on this song because it feels like I've heard another song on the album do the same thing but better already, you know?
Do you have an
But
example of
overall,
So I want to see what I agree with you.
I think I don't have any specific examples in terms of like 30 seconds of this song sounded better on the other 30 seconds of this song.
Right.
I guess I hear the strongest bits of my favorite tracks on the album as just like a general sort of thing. And I hear those same things being done on the rest of the album, but not quite as strong. So I'm left feeling less high on the rest of the album solely on the grounds that I really, really like the songs that are good on this album, or that I enjoy the most, if that makes sense. But overall, I mean, this is my favorite album of theirs by far. You know, you and I have been listening to them for, 3 years now?
Before that, when they were
yeah.
about like
Less than a-
20,000 monthly listeners, now they cracked down
Well,
100K.
Well, no, because 20,000 was that last album, we found them, they were under 1,000. Like,
Were
it was
they?
like, it was like 900 something.
Oh, I wish Spotify had like a there
Yeah,
or
yeah,
there was
like
a
a
website with
listening
like a
tracker.
chart where you could actually watch.
Yeah, because it was just that Dream Machines album.
Damn,
but-
they've grown so
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, honestly, and understandably so, because I feel like overall, in terms of songwriting, instrumentation, vocal delivery, all of it, this is their strongest effort by far, and it really shows. So I really enjoyed this album more so than I was expecting to.
Yeah. So as you said, I came from Dream Machines. Loved that album for the most part. There were some that really didn't click with me. Metropolis, I could not get into for whatever reason. I
Me
went
neither.
through multiple listens. This one clicked instantly. Every single song I enjoyed. First listen to the most recent listen I've gone to. Every single one. As both of you have said, singles are the weakest. And that's not a bad thing. That's just because everything else that was disguised in the album until it was released just hit the bar so much higher. Tobias from Novelists and Ex Alaska bringing in Youngblood, that's a wonderful feature. Garrett Rapp is also a good feature, but I think that's probably the best single. Werewolf and That Ain't No Crown are arguably tied for my top non-single of the album. Werewolf just has a really good catchy sound. The chorus is good. The end where it flows into cleans and then uncleans and kind of reverses back and forth and kind of meshes them together. You know, I loved that blend, and I go back to it every time. It's probably up to 200 listens to me right now.
200,000.
I was
like,
about
holy
to say
shit.
that, yeah. When in Rome, I don't give that song much credit. I went back and listened to it. It's good. It's just not stuck with me as much as the others. Casablanca is probably my least favorite non-single, but that's because everything else I've been able to hit, click with instantly. Been able to replay. Tom, this is his best work by far. I followed the album process where he's working on the vocal leads, so I could like listen to every song and know like, oh, he did the vocal track for this, in this like Instagram behind the scenes, so like I can hear this exact lyric and I know where this came from. Following that and then leading up to this album that did not disappoint whatsoever. There is not a bad song on this album, and that is hard to say. Really hard to say. And 10 track album.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I have this spoiler. This is going to crack somewhere in my top 5.
Understandably so.
So, to get into some of my thoughts real quick, I mean, unless Jacob Do you want to say?
Well, this
Yeah.
is totally off a topic, sorry. But I just want to say the album artwork this month, like singles and all, is the best month for album artwork.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, the album art, in case you guys can't see it in the audio version, it's literally a wolf from the Three Little Pigs burning down a wooden house, and a lot of this album is referencing fairy tales. Let's Pretend has like Mirror Mirror on the Wall. I
That's
think there's
cool.
also some fairy tale lyrics written in When in Rome and in Casablanca, but don't quote me on that. I forgot to mention Trevelise. There's this album's just really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I Travel East should be my favorite song on the album, but it isn't. I've gone back to That Ain't No Crown significantly more, so I'm labeling that as my favorite song on the album for sure. Given that none of the singles really clicked with me, listening to it in full, I'm definitely much higher on the entire album and some of the singles. Hate the Player, Not the Game, and Better the Devil You Know in particular grew on me. Let's Pretend still has not clicked. That Garrett rap feature doesn't do it for me. And I think the other thing that's holding this album back for me is the closing two tracks of When in Rome and Casablanca. Also really just not doing much for me. Probably the two most underwhelming tracks on the album, if you ask me. But other than that, considering that I really did not have very high expectations, coming out of this album with Youngblood, That Ain't No Crown, and I Travel East as all really solid songs that I enjoy going back to was, I want to say, more than I was expecting, but at the same time, I really enjoy Valiant Hearts and I really like Tom's voice, so like it makes sense that I finally found something that worked for me.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time, to be honest. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on the whole. I didn't love the album. I don't think it's gonna rank anywhere near like my top whatever come end of the year, but definitely a solid album. Definitely worth a listen. Glad I gave it a listen and all that. Alrighty then, fellas. We got to talk to the boys in Nevertel in an After Hours episode a few weeks back. Let's dedicate some time to get deeper into their new album, Everything in My Mind.
Cause I'm locked up in a cell and it's hurting like hell. Moving music like it's product, like we in a cartel. Yeah, like we in a cartel. How to move a bit of silence, this is from
Before we hit on it, just to preface this in case anyone was concerned, we did get this album early, but that's of course not going to affect our thoughts or anything like that. Just wanted to preface that.
If you
Well,
haven't
I think
checked
it affects
out,
my thoughts actually.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too.
if you haven't checked out the After Hours episode, be sure to go check that out while we're here.
Jacob, I want to hear your thoughts on this first. I've been most
So-
interested to hear yours.
So, because we got to talk to them and because they gave us the album early, I spent a lot of time with this album.
Mm-hmm.
And it is by far my favorite album of the month.
We take this.
You'll like to see it. You'll like to see it.
Yeah, because I definitely thought out of the four of us, I was the least on to this band. Yeah, I feel like I'm this could have top 10 potential. Like
Yeah.
I agree.
it is.
I mean, yeah.
it is
Yeah, it's
very
fair.
good. My favorite track has changed since the interview,
Okay.
but yeah.
So real quick, you're saying your favorite track has changed. I want to go
Yes.
through everybody's favorite track real quick. So Jacob, hit me
No,
with
my loneliness.
Okay, never mind. Jacob, hit me with your second.
Back on me.
Oh, okay. Justin.
Dark Cloud still.
Oh, and mine is still New Friends. So we've all got different favorite songs. That's interesting. I think that's a testament to the
Yeah.
quality of this album, if
Oh,
nothing
easily.
else.
Yep.
He said that we wouldn't let it impact the way that we felt about the album. And I thought that was interesting because after having that interview with them, and them talking about how certain aspects of the album reflected like a jumbled, like incohesive thought process in your head and dealing with those swirling thoughts and emotions, and how with anxiety, like depression, whatever mental affliction, your mind is always swirling and jumps from place to place. And how that contextualized certain things in the album. Like, for instance, the ending of Back on Me, or the ending in All I Need, where it switches up from that kind of post-hardcore type thing into Raul's vocals. Before, we'd mentioned that when we reviewed the singles, that it felt like very jarring at times to have that like transition. When I heard them talk about that, and I had that ability to contextualize those changes and what I had almost prior wished that had been a little bit more cohesive between certain parts of the songs, whether it be a change in instrumentation, a change in vocals, whatever. Having that sort of context of this is supposed to represent how your thoughts can jump from place to place and how suddenly that can happen made me appreciate those songs and the album as a whole like 10 times more than I already did.
To stop you there, if you guys have already listened to this album and are still kind of confused like we were, go listen to that interview we did with him.
Absolutely.
I feel like getting the thought process of the creators of a project paints a brighter picture. Because what we're saying here is definitely true. That conversation has kind of opened our eyes more to this album, and I feel like that's definitely something we should look for more in the future when we go through After Hours. Because having that conversation is very much helpful on that insight.
Well, yeah, I mean, just in general, too, getting, like you mentioned, artist thought process, whether it be, like, through something on the podcast or just, like, going and looking at another interview in general, like, this is really, because before, I mean, like, I've looked at, like, meanings of songs and been like, oh, well, this song means something different to me now because I can understand and connect with it more, as opposed to, I don't think I've ever had an entire album click for me like this one did after having it contextualized, like rather than on a song by song basis, Yeah, I shameless plug aside, do go listen to that interview because getting that thought process for all of us in some capacity really changed the way we think about this album. I guess the way we at least approach certain songs and then look at the album as a whole. This is just really, really, really good overall. I'm very phenomenally pleased with pretty much everything on this album.
If Zayde Wolf isn't my favorite album of the month, this is in contention for it.
Yeah.
I want to double back to the fact that it felt jarring, some of the singles, like particularly All I Need. The ending of All I Need threw me off so hard the first time I heard it. When I listened to this album in full for the first time, from track to track, like, it is impressive how well it all flows together and how cohesive it is, considering how all over the place it is at the same time.
For sure.
Particularly like in those first 4 songs, I feel like it kind of tones down a little bit towards the end, whereas like Know My Loneliness and Dark Cloud feel a little bit more normal in a way compared to the kind of crazy stuff you get in Back on Me, Everything in My Mind, All I Need, that triple threat. But it all comes together so well. And one track that we haven't given mention to yet that I think is like surprisingly one of my favorites is Life Like This.
Yes.
It's like kind of an interlude, kind of not. But it's mostly raw, like rapping to a beat. And slowly throughout the song, the rock instrumentals come in until they hit in the final chorus. And when those instrumentals fully come in, it's one of my favorite moments on the album, outside of the entirety of Know My Loneliness. Still being my favorite song on this album, and probably being one of my favorite songs of the entire year so far. Going back to the fact that this feels like a super cohesive package, Holding On is a fantastic opener. The way that it slowly builds up before you hit a drop is just fantastic. Definitely, I mean, yeah, I want to say it's my favorite of the non-singles, Holding On. And I think the last point I want to make, Justin, you're saying Dark Cloud is your favorite. I think Dark Cloud is actually my least favorite song on this album. It has closer energy, but it doesn't hit. It doesn't really strike me in any way, which is unfortunate because I feel like if you hit me with a strong cleanser, like I'd feel much more confident in saying this is like top 10 contender or at least an honorable mention type thing. But I feel like because it leaves me a bit, it leaves me hanging a little bit with that song, where it doesn't hit as much as I wanted it to, given how strongly I feel about everything else. Regardless of that, fantastic album from top to bottom, even if I think Dark Cloud is a little more underwhelming than everything else, just to echo what you guys have all said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna size you up with my thought process on this. Jeremy said it best. I think the title of this album is perfect.
Yes.
For-
Yes.
for
Absolutely.
the album itself. It's not only one of the tracks in the actual album, but just a pure distinction of how a mind works when depression, loneliness, all that just kind of overcomes it, and you don't know how to cope. So like the switching back and forth, all that. The reason I say Dark Cloud is my favorite is because when we got this, I listened to this front and back several times to kind of get the feeling of the album, kind of understand it more before we had the conversation with them. Dark Cloud originally I wasn't really feeling, but honestly, understanding the context of the album more and how it's that progression of that deterioration of just someone's mental capability just breaking down, unable to process what was going on with like depression, suffering from anxiety and all that. With that, and then understanding the lyricism and the instrumentation behind Dark Cloud makes it my favorite. Otherwise, as a single song, just kind of separating the album and just single songs, everything in my mind is probably my favorite, just based on sound, lyrically, vocally. But Dark Cloud, just in meaning, that's my thought process on why it's my favorite. But I can fully understand why it's kind of your least favorite. But in general, this album was done beautifully. 9 tracks, each of them has their own feel. You're gonna like one of these at the very least, otherwise you just don't like the sound. We hit on each one kind of singly. What's it mean being 2 minutes of just kind of a slow vocal reverb that just kind of builds? I felt that was a good break into the rest of the album.
Yep, it was a nice break. Yep.
It's hard to get that with interludes too. Something that remains interesting but has a good break. Overall, man, Nevertel, if you guys are listening, you guys hit this one out of the park. I know we said that in the interview, but damn, we hope to see more of you guys in the future.
For sure.
Yeah, this album is it's the perfect length. It's short, but I think any longer and it wouldn't have the same effect.
Exactly.
It's super replayable because it's short as well, which is another bonus.
Jake, you mentioned your favorite moment. I want to mention mine.
Go for it.
It's in All I Need when I think it's I'm gonna say second chorus. I could be wrong. I think the last chorus. I'm gonna say the last chorus where Jeremy does a little chuckle. Right? Do you know do you remember that part or am I?
No, it's not ringing a bell to me right now, unfortunately.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's move on then. We got 2 more albums before we're done tonight. One Morning Left have dropped their album Hyperactive. It finally happened. They finally dropped the album. We've been talking about this band since Neon Highway came out, often through disappointment, and we're finally here. I don't know if you guys gave it a full listen or not, but I'm just going to start off by saying that most of the singles were better than I remembered them in the context of the album. Particularly Sinners Are Winners grew on me quite a bit. I think it helps that it follows up Neon Highway, so I was already in good spirits. But really, the standout song on this album has to be Downfall. That song, I was not expecting to get anything nearly as good. I mean, Neon Highway is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but Downfall is like the next step up. It is the epitome of this energy that this band portrays. It's crazy. It's all over the place. It's fast paced. It's heavy. It's awesome. The opening guitar riff is sick. I don't know who does the Queens, whether it's the guitarist or the bassist. I think it's probably the guitarist. But his Queen vocals have so much personality in Downfall in particular that make me go back to it. It is one of my favorite songs of the month from an album that I was otherwise not very much anticipating, given how I was underwhelmed by a handful of the singles. So yeah, between Neon Highway, Creatures, which we talked about last month, and Downfall, and Sinners Are Winners growing on me as well, like, this album's solid. It's definitely, as a theme for me, better than I expected this month.
I am not quite as high on it as you are, and I wanted to be. I think that the band has a lot of like creativity and fun in the writing process.
They definitely have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it translates a lot into the way that like the music comes across. I think that the electronic elements for me are absolutely what sets this band apart.
Yep.
And it's where they excel. One moment that I thought was funny was in Worry Less Dance More, where there's like a little funk down, I guess is what I'll call it.
I
then
think
like
I remember that, yeah.
the like mosh call, whatever, for it was a cat call with a guitar. Like that was something like I hadn't heard before. And I was like, damn, like this is a unique little bit. That and Neon Highway to me are the band at their like creative best. And those were also my two favorite songs off the album. Ultimately, I was left feeling like the electronic elements weren't necessarily enough to propel this band into great, or at least this album, into greatness as much as I wanted it to. The rest of the album outside of those creative bits, as much fun as was coming across, felt a little bit generic at times to me. And it left me, by the time all was said and done, like, I don't regret having listened to this album. I think that there are bits here to love, but I am not enjoying it as much as I wanted to or thought I would on paper.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's all fair to say. My biggest criticism of this album, other than the fact that I don't feel like the personality this band offers on some songs doesn't appear on others, it comes in the final two tracks where both of them instantly just get straight into it. There's no build into Worry Less Dance More. There's no build into Hyperactive. It's literally just you're straight into it, into like a riff. Like frame one, it feels like. There's no breathing room whatsoever. And as the closing two tracks, that really just put me off. Especially having them back to back, actually.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't think Hyperactive was a great closer either.
Yeah,
like, I think it works
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was fine, but it wasn't anything special.
yeah, I don't know. There is a lot of potential within this band and within this album, and I feel like in some ways they hit it, and in more ways than not, they maybe missed the mark just a little bit, and so I'm left kind of wanting more.
Yep.
But
I think that's fair. I don't know if there's too much more to say, to be honest.
No, that leaves us with one final album. The new album from Our Hollow, Our Home, entitled Burn in the Flood.
I'm going to get my thoughts out of the way pretty quick because they haven't changed. I'm still just not able to get into the unqueens that this band has to offer, and that's really holding me back from enjoying this as much as I want to.
So, I knew something was wrong when I clicked when I clicked play album, and Burn in the Flood was epic.
Yeah.
Not like I was like, wait, what? Yeah, this was a pleasant surprise. Like I said, Burn in the Flood was really good when I listened to it, and it never clicked with me when it was a single. I don't know why. It's literally the first track on the album. I think it was the first single too, wasn't it?
Yep.
I do have to say, I think I would like this album a lot better if they cut the last track off and Blood was the closer.
Okay. I
think
hadn't given it
Blood
that thought.
Blood has better closer energy than 7 Years.
So, would you say cut the last track, or would you say rearrange them and just make
I
Blood?
could go with either,
Okay.
to be honest.
I want to echo that the singles were better than I remembered in some cases. I think Overcast, Burn in the Flood, and 7 Years, Shine a Light on Me were really like singles where I hadn't given them their due time, and I don't know what changed because I don't feel like this album necessarily contextualized them any better than just hearing them by themselves. But for whatever reason, hearing them, like, I really, really, really liked it. I want to talk for a moment about the triple threat of features that are on this album because, like, holy shit, like, what a lineup. We have Ollie Duncanson of This City Is Ours, Ryo Kinoshita of Crystal Lake, and then Loki Kyo of Alpha Wolf. And
Certainly,
like,
that is certainly a triple threat, yeah.
holy shit, that song with Loki. Oh my goodness. Children of Madness is my favorite song on here.
That's my favorite song too.
Holy shit, it goes so hard. I love it. I think, okay, and this is might not make any sense, so sorry in advance if it doesn't. I think this band's, or at least this album's, greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. I think that this band is very good at making metalcore.
Yeah.
Like, very, very good at it.
But there's too much of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Would
almost
you like this as like an EP?
Yes. I think that
I think I would
there-
agree.
there's a lot here, individual moments to love, but if you asked me to differentiate between a lot of the songs on here, I couldn't. Like, it feels like for a lot of it, they all sound very good, but they all sound like a lot of the same. And so it's like, if I'm not entirely sold on it, then having to hear a lot of the same for 11 tracks might be a bit much, as opposed to if this was just an EP.
I think I would probably fall into that boat.
Yeah, it's not, and it's something that's like, I guess, more of a subjective critique, because I have seen a lot of people on Twitter who I know for a fact really just like metalcore-ass metalcore, and they're like, holy shit, this is album of the year, like, everything, this is the best thing I've ever heard, like, I love it. And it, like I mentioned earlier, it really feels like something to me where if you are sold on the concept and on this band's sound, then you are going to love this album, because with a good, decent bit of variation, this is 11 tracks of a lot of the same type of metalcore. Again, with a couple exceptions, I think that Children of Manus, especially, being a lot heavier than the rest of the album, setting itself apart. Blood 2 with that acoustic moment.
Yeah.
But just overall, like, because I'm not entirely sold on what this band has to offer, if I'm getting 11 tracks of it, I'm left like, eh. Like, I think that it's all good, and I didn't hate anything that I heard, and I would honestly probably go back repeatedly and listen to this album front to back without issue. And I will, because I want to see if it ends up clicking with me. But just overall, I wish for just maybe a little bit more variation in sound that could leave me with a few more memorable moments on this album.
All right, I want you to make a 5-track EP with this album. Go.
Oh, fuck.
I think I could do it.
I think I could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Okay.
haven't listened to every song in full, but like, I didn't listen to it all together, but I picked out a couple of the non-singles to listen to just to get an idea on if I would actually like the full album or not. But if it were up to me, I would probably go Burn in the Flood, Better Days, Nerve, Remember Me, 7 Years.
Okay. I'm gonna go... Fuck. Burn in the Flood, In Retrospect, Overcast, Children of Manus, Blood.
All right, so basically the other half of the album I didn't pick. Fair enough.
What about you, Jacob?
Burn the Flood, 3 features, and then Blood.
I could fuck with that. I respect it.
I
What
wanna,
it is you know, this is us saying we like Burn in the Flood as an opener, so it's picking. And then, like, we've got one of the 2 final tracks as good closers. What are the 3, like, fill-ins that we're gonna stick in the middle?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Better Days, because that dropped as a single. We didn't get to talk about it because it dropped this same month. But Better Days was probably the closest I've gotten to liking anything, to like fully enjoying anything that this band has dropped. The fact that it opens with the Queen's vocalist is a good sign, considering he's my favorite part of this band. As I'm still struggling to get into the unQueen vocals. But I feel like Better Days, even if I wasn't as big into the unQueen vocals, I feel like similar to Convictions, which you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
There were moments where I was like, that's cool. I like that part.
Mm-hmm.
Not the entire way, but there were unQueen moments that I did actually enjoy, and I can't say that for every single that I've heard.
Right.
And particularly, I think his Queen vocals really got to shine on that song.
Shout
As
out
they
to Clean
did on a
vocalist
lot,
for
yeah.
sounding so British.
True.
I feel like a lot of vocalists who are British kind of lose a lot of their accent when they sing, but he has retained his almost perfectly. It's interesting. It's different. It differentiates this band, I feel like, from the rest of the pack. But I mean, overall, I think I need more time with this album to see if this overall thing clicks with me.
Yeah.
If it does, God bless. If it doesn't, I've got 4 to 6 songs off of this that I enjoyed that I'll revisit, and I'm happy with it. So,
Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Just under 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was fucking right.
You were.
right
I'm bad
here.
at time. I'm bad at time
to do it.
management.
Yeah,
I mean-
it's only your fault.
Yeah, it's only
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah, Jake, do better.
Okay, I will.
Well, shit, that was easy.
I feel like it's interesting though, whereas like we've gone this length the past couple of months, but I feel like this recap didn't feel nearly as long. And I think
No.
that just has to do with not having such a large volume where we were able to kind of get more in depth with some of the material, which was nice. And hopefully if you've made it this far into the episode, you enjoyed us getting more in detail about some of the albums and songs we talked about. So,
Yeah.
With that being said, to wrap things up, if you aren't following us on social media already, definitely go do so at HiveMindRadio_ on Instagram and Twitter. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, where we upload these episodes, and we also do them live every first weekend of the month. So if you want to catch us
Usually
live,
Friday or Saturday.
yeah, if you want to catch us live before the edited version goes live a couple days later, go
Hive
subscribe
Mind
to the YouTube.
Uncut.
Yeah, true. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want any of that. But yeah, I don't really got too much more to say. I feel like we all went into this with saying May was one of the more underwhelming, arguably the most underwhelming month of the year, but I feel like there was a lot of music that we all enjoyed this month that we got to talk
Yeah,
about.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I want to make another plug as well, because of the success that Nevertel had on us after talking with them. If any bands, you got stuff coming out, reach out to us. You've seen our opinions, how we, what kind of music we enjoy. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be glad to sit down, kind of understand your albums a bit more from a perspective of people who don't have much else to do.
Well, I don't know about that one, but
I mean, I just got a job as of like 2 days ago, so I'm actually not gonna be broke this summer. So shout out to
let's
that.
go.
Yeah,
Yo, hot girl summer in full force for Jake.
Hell no.
But that
I'm
kind
just
of
gonna be
insight
making bank.
But yeah, that kind of insight from artists that actually make the creative work is very, very much something that a lot of people need, and not a lot of bands really know how to give out without actually answering the questions given. So, reach out to us. DM one of us on Twitter or DM the Hivemind Radio Twitter. That's where we're
Instagram.
most active.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
Instagram.
Absolutely. I mean, for for creative purposes, but also just for our own. We like to have that sort of insight, and you've seen how much it can help us with our appreciation of
And we were just
what
told
we
to stop
hear.
talking.
So, yeah, that too.
I don't know if there's
This
too
is
much
a
more to
gold
say,
spot.
fellas.
No, let's get
I
this
think
over
that's a
with
wrap.
before
Yeah.
Jake starts editing us out.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great month. Have a great night, whatever it is. We'll catch you with another After Hours episode, or we'll catch you next month with our June recap, where we'll be talking about more albums, EPs, and singles as per usual.